Welcome, crew, guys, gals, ghouls, and otherworldly beings. Let's climb aboard the mothership, secure our tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the Wabatas on Rocky Mountain High, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in Coastal, Colorado. I'm your ghostess with the mostest, TessaTNT, broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It is not only an honor, but a privilege and a pleasure to have you hanging out with me tonight on the airwaves. If you want to listen in your free time, whether you're working it, or working out, feel free to look me up, basically wherever you listen to your broadcasts and podcasts. And you can find me under weareparadoxmedia.com. Also, there's room for more of us. If you're a podcaster or you've dreamt of being a podcaster or whatever, reach out to me at weareparadoxmedia@gmail.com and we can set something up. I just paid for a really good package, so we have basically unlimited hours of recording that we can do, but yeah, super excited about that. My friend Billy Saba was in a moped accident in Thailand. Now I know he went to Bangkok and all kinds of places, but there's a picture that haunts me. It's one that's looking down at the ocean, and it's a very steep grade downhill road from where he is taking that picture. So I'm wondering if that accident happened on that road, but we're putting love, light, positive energy, healing energy out for Billy, Mr. William Saba, right now. And if you could, definitely send energy as well to Billy in Thailand. Also, if you have the means or ability, please help us out. We're at like 40% of our goal right now, and every little bit helps. Every little bit goes toward that. So if you are able to or willing to help, the link is gofund.me/83857C8CC. And yeah, that's the Billy Saba Recovery Fund. He's such an awesome giving guy. He's amazing, and I just really hope he is able to come back home fully whole and true and himself. But yeah, I'd like to see him come home in whatever state he may be able to make it. But yeah, I'm holding out for that whole in one piece, and the only memory loss being the memory of the accident, and everything else being intact. That would be the best thing ever in the world. Alright, so before we get to our reading, Out There Screaming, an anthology of New Black Horror, edited by Mr. Jordan Pill, I wanted to thank our top 4. So these are our top 4 listeners, aka top 4 downloaders. Number 1, USA. Number 2, the UK. Number 3, India. And number 4, Bangladesh. And then we have a list. This is from August 9th through August 16th. This is the list in entirety, and so it does differ a little bit from the top 4 list. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but That's why I'm reading both of them to you, because I appreciate everyone that is listening and downloading right now. So from the 9th to the 16th of August, we have number 1, US of A, number 2, Brazil, number 3, United Kingdom, number 4, Other. Like, are they listening on the mothership or what? What's going on here? What is Other? Are these places like off in the ocean or something? I don't understand what that is. If you know, let me know. Like, message me, weirdoxmedia@gmail.com. And yeah, I greatly appreciate it. Number 5, Bangladesh. Number 6, India. Number 7, Vietnam. Number 8, Pakistan. Number 9, Australia. Number 10, Canada. Number 11, Germany. Number 12, Italy. Number 13, Sri Lanka. Number 14, Monaco. Number 15, United Arab Emirates. Number 16, Ecuador. Number 17, Spain. Number 19, France. Number 20, Jordan. Number 21, Kuwait. Number 22, Mali. Number 23, Namibia. Number 24, Palestine. Number 25, Singapore. Number 26, Senegal. And number 27, Argentina. And I did miss one. I just didn't fill in the blank. That's weird. I don't know how I missed that. But yeah, so Argentina is number 26. That pops you up one. Pops you up a stasis there. Alright. I'm hoping that's not my fan you're hearing or what's going off on the screen there, but hey, it's hot. I need my air. Origin Story by Toki Onyebuki. Setting: Humanities Building Classroom. Time: 30 minutes before Miss Geraldine Cunningham's Grand Unified Theory of Whiteness seminar. Lights up to reveal an oblong, segmented, finished mahogany table framed by the walls of a classroom. Stage left is a chalkboard with the names of past Roman emperors scribbled on haphazardly, remnants of the previous class. On the table sits the chorus of white boys 1 through 4. Their blonde and brown-haired innocents crowded around a campfire in various postures of repose that reveal young boys still testing out the reach, the stretch, the curl of their limbs, still growing into their bodies and still capable of wonder, however quietly expressed at the different ways their physical forms encounter the world around them. White boy number 2 is a bent pair of glasses, and his fingers fiddles with them. Isn't quite sure where to put them now that the fire's already been started. White boy number 3 flips a coin in the air over and over and over, counting each time. White boy number 3. Heads, flip. Heads, flip. Heads, flip. Heads. White boy number 2. What's that now? White boy number 3. Flip. 89. All heads. White boy number 1. Quit it already. White boy number 3. Come on. 3 more. Another flip. White boy number 2. 90. Flip. 91. Flip. White boy number 1 slaps white boy number 3's hand away, and the quarter bounces, pinging once, twice, thrice, before spinning and rolling off the table into the darkness. White boy number 3. Dude, what the fuck? White boy number 2. Come on, man. What's your problem? White boy number 1 is surely reticent, curled in on himself emotionally, his body torqued for violence. White boy number 2 has a premonition of what exactly white boy number 1's physicality is about to articulate and puts a hand on the boy's shoulder. White boy number 2. This about Toke? White boy number 1 pulls his knees to his chest and turns his face away from the group, away from the fire. White boy number 4 leans back on his hands and chews on a long weak stalk. White boy number 4. Nah, that's not it. White boy number 2. What is it then? A beat. Come on, bro. You can tell us what's up. A beat as the fire reflects on all their faces. White boy number 4. He's upset because he doesn't know his purpose. White boy number 3. The fuck? White boy number 1. Our purpose? White boy number 2 withdraws his hand. White boy number 2. What do you mean? White boy number 4. He doesn't know why we're here. White boy number 3. We're here because we signed up for this dinky class, doofus. White boy number 4 leans forward. There's something between menace and knowing the fire's glow highlights his face. White boy number 4. I think he thinks we're supposed to be antagonists. White boy number 2 and white boy number 3 turn on white boy number 4 in unison and squint. They could be twins. White boy number 4. He's trying to figure out where in the story we fit. And I think he came in thinking we were the villains. That's why. White boy number 2. Whoa, stop. Villains? What story? What are you even talking about? White boy number 3 to white boy number 2. You think he's doing that thing again? White boy number 2. The thing? White boy number 3. Yeah, you know, the thing. White boy number 3 mimes a puppet master pulling strings, then wags his finger in front of his face to simulate hypnosis. White boy number 2 looks cautiously at white boy number 4, then signals to white boy number 3 that they need to engage in the plan. White boy number 2 to white boy number 4. Okay, what is 4 legs and 1 arm? White boy number 4. A coyote on a playground? White boy number 3. What's the difference between a policeman and a bullet? White boy number 4. When a bullet kills someone, it gets fired? White boy number 1. Fiendishly. Why do black people only have nightmares? White boy number 4. Because the last one had a dream, got shot. Several charged beats of silence. White boy number 1. He's right. It's all good. White boy number 4. As I was saying, white boy number 1 came into this class convinced we were supposed to be a problem. White boy number 3. What do you mean a problem? White boy number 4. It's obvious. White boy number 3. Yeah, but why do you capitalize it like it? White boy number 4. Takes a huge breath. Between me and the other world, there is ever an unasked question, unasked by some through feelings of delicacy, by others through the difficulty of rightly framing it, all nevertheless fluttered round it. They approach me in a half-hesitant sort of way, eye me curiously or compassionately, and then instead of saying directly, how does it feel to be a problem, they say, I know an excellent colored man in my town, or I fought at Mechanicsville, or do not these southern outages make your blood boil? At these I smile, or am interested, or reduce the boil to a simmer, as the occasion may require. The real question, how does it feel to be a problem? I answer seldom a word. To their silence. W.E.B. Du Bois, Souls of Black Folk. This is what happens when you don't do the reading. White boy number 2. Okay, so We're the new black boys then. White boy number 4. No, yes, but no. White boy number 3. I get it. It's a reframing word because this class is excavating the settler colonism of the United Statesian project. The heroes are those embarking on the liberation project, and the villains are the status quo, but most notably the beneficiaries of that initial colonizing order. Okay, I get it. We're villains. Even though we're boys who have TikToks and no slaves, we're villains. Sure, I don't see what the problem is. Sorry, word choice? White boy number 4, look into white boy number 1. Well? White boy number 1 curls in on himself even further like a white dwarf star. His hurt and confusion are so dense. White boy number 2. Are we sure this has nothing to do with Joey? Then it dawns on white boy number 3. White boy number 3, rounding on white boy number 1. Wait, you're mad we're not villains? A beat. Are you kidding me? To the rest of the chorus, unbelieving. He's really mad we're not villains. White boy number 1. We're not villains because, grinding his teeth, preparing his body to verbalize, to give voice, to expel a truth he wants very much to be a lie because we're discentered. A gasp from white boys 2 and 3. White boy number 1. And you 2 didn't even notice it. Meanwhile, you, rounding on white boy number 4, still don't know what the fuck's been going on with you. Doesn't look like you do either. But yeah, fellas, we've been decentered. How's it feel, what they say? Harvard sucks. Princeton doesn't matter. White boy number 2. Bro, uncalled for. White boy number 1. How long until we're written out completely? I don't think you will understand. Stand on the table now, hovering meanly over them. This is an existential threat here. This is fucking climate change. Pretty soon we'll be done. And you want to know what's the worst part about it? Leaning his face toward the fire so that the flames play menacing angles along his features. No one's ever gonna care when we're gone. White boy number 3. Dude, chill. It's not like we're dying, okay? We're just being relegated to the wings where we have to wait until some playwright comes along to excavate our humanity and remind the audience that we have inner lives worth exploring. White boy number 1. Bro, we are an undifferentiated mass of heterosexual, cisgender, Anglo-Saxon, upper-class male privilege. Who the fuck is gonna want to explore our inner life by the end of this? The other boys look at the hulking figure that white boy number 1 has become, transformed by angles and firelight, and there is fear in their bones, but greater than that, there's sadness and sympathy. They could take a punch from this boy, knowing it would count toward his therapy. They wouldn't want to, per se, but they would do it if called upon. White boy number 1. Everyone, are you not even a little bit concerned about our impending obsolescence? White boy number 2. How do you even know that's what's happening? You're going to Yale next fall. White boy number 4, he's going to be at Harvard. I'm going to Princeton, and number 3 is going to Duke. The parents and the step-parents in our dual-income households collectively own the same wealth as a Micronesian island nation, and all the great works of literature, quote-unquote, are still, well, a majority of them are still written by people who looked like us when they were our age. Okay, that's not what's on our syllabus here, but like, throw a stone and hit a cannon that we dominate. Calm down, bro. Are they great, though? White boy number 4. I mean, it might just be that a lot of those pieces of literature by white men spoke to other white men, and they all collectively decided they were great, like Mad Men's very well done and impressively constructed show, poignant insight, structurally sound episodes, dynamic characters, bravura storytelling all around, but it was basically the story of the parents of the people who write TV criticism for the New Yorker, the Vanity Fair, but they all watched that show and were like, ah yes, poignant insight into my emotionally constipated father or my distant mother who never let me know the Titanic social strictures she was constantly negotiating while she made us eggs on toast every morning for breakfast. It's a good show, sure, but a bunch of grown-up Sally Drapers, the Glenn Bishops, told us it was a good show, not saying that's a grain of salt. You should take it with all, but, like, are they great, though? I mean, it might just be that a lot of those pieces of literature by white men spoke to other white men, and they all collectively decided they were great, like Mad Men's very well done and impressively constructed show, poignant insight, structurally sound episodes, dynamic characters, bravura storytelling all around, but it was basically the story of the parents of the people who write TV criticism for the New Yorker and Vanity Fair. Like, they all watched that show and were like, ah yes, poignant insight into my emotionally constipated father or my distant mother who never let me know the Titanic social strictures she was constantly negotiating while she made us eggs on toast every morning for breakfast. It's a good show, sure, but a bunch of show. I'm not saying that's a grain of salt you should take it all with, but like, Miss Cunningham's not using us a beat. We're all supposed to be the villains, and she's not using us. Number 2. Bro, you're being so creepy. Are you on the same stuff number 4 was on before? Why can't we just be kids? Have you looked in a mirror? Says white boy number 1. White boy number 2. Okay, I think I see what's going on here. I got it. Waits for quiet. You're trying out oppressions. White boy number 1. I'm what? White boy number 2. No, I get it. It's cool. Oppression's cool. Being oppressed, I mean. Like, you get to claim a marginalization, then out of that foxhole comes all sorts of cool shit like music and TikTok dances and storytelling traditions and tropes and slangs and all that stuff filters into the mainstream culture or whatever. Now it's all barahi. I just hand up the bibs. This and yes, badge. That. White boy number 4. You're making a lot of leaps that I'm not quite tracking, but continue. White boy number 2. What's white Afropunk? White boy number 3. The grown-ups had a Warped Tour. White boy number 2. Okay, fair, but still. White boy number 3. Now I'm starting to lose the plot. First you're upset we're not the bad guys, which I still don't quite understand what you're getting at. And now you're mad that we don't have what? Culture. Bro, metal is full of fiber-talented white guys. Like, every single drummer in a metal band is us in an alternate reality. You're seeing ghosts. White boy number 1, bros docile. White boy number 4. There is an enormous tragedy at work, though. I don't think it's the one we might think it is. Thumbs his chin as the death note detective music starts playing. Our dilemma is rooted in what number 1 pointed out not too long ago, that we are in essence and presentation an undifferentiated mass of characterized privilege. We're a concept, but we talk and have wants and inner lives and all of that. So we're people at the same time. Number 1 is raging against the bars of his cage. White boy number 3. Shouldn't we all be then? We're all the same, aren't we? Death note music intensifies. White boy number 4. It's an opposition thing. We're like this when it's just us, like this. We're able to better see the lines delineated our histories, our experience, our single-inness. But when put up against contrasting racial realities, we're all melded together. When the whole class is together, us on our side of the table, and Letitia, Victor, Jay Young, and Shira on the other, we're like Takikomas. We're crab tanks with our cannons and extreme mobility and prescribed functions of serve and protect, with the sentiences we grow into our plural, unique to us. White boy number 3. Do you think when class starts again, we'll be individuals like we are now? White boy number 4 is silent for a long time. Each passing second infuses the moment with more and more sorrow, until the air is heavy with it. They all know the answer before he utters it, and still. White boy number 4, looking to white boy number 1, infinite sadness in his eyes. I'm sorry. White boy number 2, is it like this for them too? White boy number 4, tears welling in his eyes, shrugs. There's no irony in it, only despair. White boy number 2, well then. White boy number 1, it's just fighting back sobs, grit in his teeth, grown more visibly angry at his sorrow collapsing onto the seat of his pants. I'm a kid. Why is this happening to me? I'm a kid. I didn't do anything. The others consider their comrade for a compassionate beat, then all gather closer to the fire. White boy number 1 cries choking sobs into his hands, while the others link hands in a circle focused on him. White boy number 1, I'm a kid. The ones within reach of white boy number 1 rub his shoulders consolingly. White boy number 2, we're like Schrodinger's humans. The others look up. White boy number 2, we're only real people depending on who lifts up the box and sees us. Surprised, not filled chuckles from white boy number 1. White boy number 1, we're trapped, aren't we? White boy number 3, you're not saying it like a question, but guess that's just how things spin, you know? I don't know. I'm just minding my business. Life goes on, right? It's not like we got rejected from college. We still had our summer internships, and there'll be jobs waiting for us whenever and wherever we need them. So, what if the story's not about only us anymore? It doesn't have any bearing on our material reality. We'll still have houses, opportunities, girls who like us for the most part. White boy number 1, I'm talking about reality. White boy number 3, peeved. So am I. White boy number 4, no, I think number 1's talking about right here, right now. At the question in white boy number 3's eyes. Unsub or supernatural forces. White boy number 3, seriously. You think this is a constructed reality where we've all been drafted to play our roles according to someone else's dresses? The mask breaks. Bruh, WandaVision was a TV show. White boy number 2 and white boy number 3 double over in laughter, mocking white boy number 1, who sits patiently, waiting for them to stop. White boy number 4. If it's such a joke, then flip your coin again. White boy number 3. I would, but this idiot knocked it under the table. It's gone. White boy number 4 fishes a quarter out of his pants pocket. White boy number 2. Oh my god, you actually carry change? And holds it out to white boy number 3, like a challenge. Almost, but not quite like a threat. White boy number 1. Go on, flip it. White boy number 3. Okay, Anton Cougar. White boy number 4, with quiet menace. Flip it. White boy number 3. No. White boy number 4. Come on, flip it. White boy number 3 with grim resolve. No. White boy number 4. Flip the goddamn coin. White boy number 3 gets up suddenly and walks away. White boy number 3. Stop, I'm not flipping it. Chill the fuck out. White boy number 2 pokes the fire with a stick. White boy number 2. That does solve the personhood problem. White boy number 3. What? White boy number 1. How? White boy number 2. If we were in someone else's story, then it makes sense that we were the embodied of concepts or whatever. Us being an undifferentiated mass of white, etc., privilege. It tracks, right? But this right here, us together like this, shows that we're not an undifferentiated mass. We're different, kind of, and that means that we have individuality. We can't all be the same concept at the same time. White boy number one. But what about different, like, shades of the same concept, especially if it's a super big concept? White boy number two. Here's the thing, though. We have choice. We can pick our destinies. We're not a unified front. White boy number one. But we're supposed to be. White boy number two. Says who? Realization hits white boy number one so hard it fully and completely dries the tears on his face. Knocks the sorrow right out of him. White boy number one. Breathless with the euphoria that attends epiphany. We took Toby. White boy number two, smiling. We took Toby. Looking to the others. After he and Victor got into the fight last night, Jay Young had Toby on the table and brought him to us. A united front might have been or made a decision one way or another, but they would have made it immediately because the concept wouldn't deliberate. It just moves, it acts, it does its thing because it knows what it is. It's an unquestioned, but we hesitated. White boy number one whispered to himself more than the others. And I said yes. A beat. I reached for him. White boy number two. Then we reached for him. White boy number one grips his head as if to hold in all the implications of this new understanding. Implications so numerous, so fraught, so bulky that they threaten to burst out his ears and his nose, leak out from behind his eyes. He needs to hold on to this. So he does, with all of his strength. White boy number one, smiling then laughing. We took Toby. White boy number two, smiling broadly. We took Toby. To the others. See? It was about Toby all this time. White boy number one. Do you think we could take the others? The others rear back. This was not what they were expecting to hear from their comrade, their brother. White boy number two. Seeing Toby and Victor duke it out like that really shook you up, huh? White boy number three. Is that even what the others want? White boy number one. It's just that things are so intense and I'm kind of tired and this is supposed to be a gut class. If we get them all on our side of the table, they won't try as hard. They won't have to. White boy number two and white boy number three look at each other, ponder this, realize that this was the angle containing a healthy dose of selflessness and selfishness. That seems more befitting of number one. The poor guy isn't driven entirely by altruism. He hasn't been that changed by their conversation. All of this happens in the gaze between the two middle children. White boy number one. Why not? White boy number three. What? So we get them all to sign up for track? White boy number two. Oh! We invite them to go on spring break with us. White boy number three. But we already made those plans and we already have our monogram bags and everything. Come on. Do you really want Letitia tagging along while we do our typical white boy things in Mexico or Bermuda? Or wherever it is we're spring breaking again? White boy number two. I'm sure they're down for shenanigans. White boy number three. But what's it gonna look like when we're all out there objectifying Hispanic women and ask her to join in, huh? Awkward, bro. Super awkward. White boy number two. She can show us around. White boy number three. Spoken like a true white boy. White boy number two. What does that mean? White boy number three. She's Puerto Rican, doofus, not Mexican. White boy number four. I don't think it's that easy. White boy number two. What, like money? Dude, not a problem. White boy number four. Looking squirrely at white boy number one. That's not it. White boy number one, growing serious. No, it isn't. White boy number two and white boy number three. Whipsaw between number one and number four. White boy number two. Guys, what's going on? White boy number four. We can't just accept them, can we? White boy number 1 is still silent, stewing. White boy number 2. Toby was on our side, but he still got hurt. A beat as he waits for it to sink in for the others. He's with us, but he's not. He's not us. White boy number 4. He's not white. White boy number 1. He's not white. White boy number 3. So, does that mean none of them can ever... Number 1. Yet. Number 2. What? White boy number 4 regards white boy number 1's growing resolve with a look of warning. A careful, do you know what you're doing? Kind of regard. White boy number 3. You think there's a way to... White boy number 1. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I think Miss Cunningham has the answer. Looking to the others one by one. She said at the beginning of the semester, and we're going to get to the heart of whiteness. We're going to travel along the spokes of the wheel, or whatever the fuck it is she said. I think we go. White boy number 2. You mean, take this class seriously? White boy number 1. Do you remember what she said? What you said number 4? About white violence? About that being the prime vector of white identity or whatever? White boy number 4 nods solemnly. White boy number 2. What? You said you didn't remember. White boy number 4. I'm still not sure what happened, but a piece of it is still in my head, like a residue, like someone's fingerprints on my brain. White boy number 1. I have a feeling there's gonna be more violence. White boy number 3. You mean we're gonna have to hurt our classmates? White boy number 1. Maybe, but... White boy number 2. In plaintive stupefaction. We're gonna have to let it happen. A beat. Like what happened with Toby and Victor? White boy number 4. Not just that. White boy number 3. There's more? White boy number 1. We're gonna have to help it happen. White boy number 4's frown deepens. White boy number 1. You know how a caterpillar goes into its cocoon and then the cocoon... White boy number 3. Chrysalis. White boy number 1. What? White boy number 3. Cocoons for moths. Chrysalis is for butterflies. A beat. That's where we're going, right? White boy number 1. Sure, fuck, whatever. Chrysalis. Well, chrysalis breaks and the butterfly comes out. The breaking is necessary. It has to happen before they become the butterfly. A beat. They won't always know what to do. So, we're gonna have to help them. White boy number 2. Help them get broken. White boy number 1 nods. White boy number 1. Yeah. White boy number 3 exhales heavily, leans forward, forearms on knees, and contemplates the fire. White boy number 3. The Lord of the Fly shit. White boy number 2. The villains Gotham deserves. White boy number 2 and white boy number 3 fist bump. White boy number 3. Christian Bale Batman voice. Where's Rachel? The chorus laughs. White boy number 3. So we're villains anyway. The mood's more jovial. It's not the joviality of the tint, but a new understanding among brothers, a resolving of differences among family, a body whose organs now function in unity, the limbs moving in sync, each according to their jointage and function to propel the whole organism forward. We're Itachi, says white boy number 2. White boy number 3. Rest in peace, Jutsu. Activate. White boy number 2. Fucking weeb. White boy number 1 and white boy number 4 exchange a meaningful glance, smile at each other, slightly, softly. White boy number 3 now has the bent pair of glasses in his hands, formerly the property of white boy number 2. White boy number 2 runs a new coin over the backs of his fingers, back and forth and back. White boy number 3 wipes away the beginnings of tears. White boy number 1. Should we practice? Lights down on the chorus. A spotlight on white boy number 1. Another spotlight on white boy number 4, whose head is now that of an eyeglass. Slaughtered pig whose tongue lolls out over rotted dirt-browned fangs. Flies swarm its head. White boy number 4. You're afraid of me. White boy number 1. What? What's happening? Where are the others? White boy number 4. What are you doing out here alone? White boy number 4 with the pig's head on laughs in a doubled demonic voice. White boy 1. Where's number 4? Let him go! White boy number 4. Fancy thinking evil something you could co-opt and make heroic. Fancy thinking you could be evil to save others. The classroom echoes with a parody of laughter. White boy number 4. You know, you knew all along. I'm inside you, up your ass, so deep the bell ends wearing your appendix while beaming. You knew from the very beginning that dirty, necessary knowledge the others had refused. They can't countenance. They're just kids, aren't they? Aren't you? White boy number 1. Aren't you? White boy number 4 cackles. White boy number 4, what makes you any different from your ancestors? Something to be fought against. Something others will try to beat. Something that dominates always. What makes you any different? How do you know what was in their minds isn't in yours? White boy number 1. I want to save the others. Save them? Save them from a class they enrolled in? Of their own free will? White boy number 1. Yes. White boy number 4. Why are you refusing yourself? White boy number 1. I'm refusing you. White boy number 4 leans away, tilts his head to the side, considering white boy number 1. Over the course of the remaining dialogue, white boy number 4's voice begins to resemble more and more that of their teacher, Geraldine Cunningham. White boy number 4. You're all a silly little boy, just an ignorant, silly little boy. A beat. Don't you agree? Aren't you just a silly little boy? White boy number 1. Stop. White boy number 4. You think you can be a hero here? White boy number 1 gulps. Yeah. White boy number 4 pulls items out from behind him. Well, here's your Stetson hat, and your bolt action rifle, and spurs for your boots, and your blood lesson, manifest destiny, and your knife for scalping, and while we're at it, a badge for when you're made into police. White boy number 1. Stop it. White boy number 4. Oh, maybe you're an industrialist, or maybe the pilot who drops the atom bomb on Hiroshima, or maybe the one who drops the atom bomb on Nagasaki. White boy number 1. Why are you doing this to me? You had the right idea when you came in here, but you were only halfway here, and you let the others convince you things could be different, that you could escape the consequence of your blood, that you could look the way you look, talk the way you talk, have your name in your lineage and your inheritance, and be anything other than what you are destined to be. White boy number 1. I'm a child. White boy number 4. You're an aftermath. White boy number 1, beaten down, begins crying into his hands. White boy number 4. Oh, but what's wrong? I'm giving you what you came here wanting. Clarity, purpose. Purpose you had only semi-divided. And divine, you see, you had the right idea. I just filled it out for you. Righted your carriage on the tracks. White boy number 1. I'm so lonely. White boy number 4. What villain isn't? White boy number 1. But what am I supposed to do? Series of photos and short videos collaged together and play themselves out over the fire in between them, like visions conjured from the flames. A march whose participants carry tiki torches, a cabal of buzz-cut, bubble jacket-wearing toughs kicking and raining blows, with a 2x4 onto an East Asian man curled into the fetal position. An overhead drone shot of World War II internment camps, a crowd of young men and women, spittle on their faces, screaming obscenity, and a stone-faced black girl walking toward a school, a shrieking bonfire, A soldier wearing olive green and spewing from his flamethrower enough dragon's breath to fell a small forest while humans form of varying shapes and sizes pitched to the ground. A young man wearing a North Face jacket with an assault rifle in the same posture aimed at petitioners in the main prayer room of the mosque, only half aware of his presence, the same rictus grin on his face. White boy number 4. What are you supposed to do? The pig's head grins. What you're always supposed to do. Leaning forward. Destroy them. Lights on the whole stage. Lights up on the course in the same posture they were in before. White boy number 1's encounter with the pig boy. Only white boy number 1's gaze is focused on something far past white boy number 4. Far past the confines of this theater, past the boundaries of whatever story he believes himself to be a part of, staring into infinity and seeing only abyss. White boy number 1 snaps out of it. White boy number 1 to the others. Should we practice? Lights down. The campfire on the table winks out. The other classmates in silhouette begin to stream in. Alright, well, that's the end of our book. Acknowledgements to Alex Kim, Jeff Foster, Savannah Abershamchian, Ben Greenberg, Gwen Rosenfeld, Keisha Center, Ian Cooper, Rachel Fallon, Molly Glick, Catherine Rowe, Jared Levine, Eileen Gross, Seth Fishman, Regina Flath, Janae Frazier, Ethan Sue, Sanab Sila, Mark LeBlanc, Rachel Lokiki, Greg Cuby, Wendy Dorstein, Michael Hoke. About the contributors. Erin E. Adams is a first-generation Haitian-American writer and theater artist. Her debut novel, Jackal, was a finalist for the Edgar Award, the Bram Stoker Award, and the Lefty Award. It was also named one of the best books of the year by Esquire, Vulture, Pop Sugar, Paste, and Publishers Weekly, and a best horror novel of all time by Cosmopolitan. Adams received her BA with honors in literary arts from Brown University, her MFA in acting from the Oak Globe and University of San Diego Shilley Graduate Theater Program, and her MFA in dramatic writing from NYU Tisch Schools of the Arts. An award-winning playwright and actor, Adams has called New York City home for the last decade. Her sophomore novel, One of You, will be published by Penguin Random House in 2024. Violet Allen is a science fiction and fantasy author based in Chicago, Illinois. Her fiction draws on everything from contemporary pop culture to ancient poetry and surreal explorations of society, culture, and relationships. Her stories have appeared in Lightspeed magazine, The Best American Science Fiction and Fantasy Resist, Tells from a Future Worth Fighting Against, A People's Future of the United States, the dystopia Triptych, and elsewhere. Her work has also been presented on podcast LeVar Burton Reads. In her spare time, she likes making music, watching films, and attempting to make the perfect from-scratch pizza. She is represented by Dong Wan Song at Howard Morhaime Literary Agency and can be reached via Twitter at Blitzstress. Leslie Neka Arima was born in the United Kingdom and grew up in Nigeria, and wherever else her father was stationed for work. Her stories have appeared in The New Yorker, Harper's, McSweeney's, and Granta, and have been honored with the National Magazine Award, an O. Henry Award, and the Caine Prize. She was selected for the National Book Foundation's 5 Under 35, and her debut collection, What It Means When Man Falls from the Sky, won the 2017 Kirkus Prize and the 2018 New York Public Library Young Lions Fiction Award, among other honors. Irina lives in Minneapolis and is working on a novel about you. Maurice Broaddus is a writer, a community organizer, a middle school teacher, and a librarian. His work has appeared in places like Lightspeed magazine, Black Panther Tales of Wakanda, Weird Tales, the magazine of fantasy and science fiction, and Uncanny magazine. His books include the sci-fi novels Scuba Stars, the steampunk works Buffalo Soldier, and Pimp My Airship, and the middle grade detective novels The Usual Suspects and Unfadable. His TV project, Sorcerers, is being adapted for AMC. He is also an editor at Apex Magazine. Learn more at mauricebroaddus.com. Jessia Burke is an assistant professor of English and U.S. Literatures and the director of African Studies at Stetson University. Having written and published over 100 stories and articles within the genres of horror, science fiction, comics, and Afrofuturism, her academic research focuses primarily on the intersections of race, gender, and genre. Her short story collection, Let's Play White, is being taught in universities around the world, leading Grammy Award-winning poet Nikki Giovanni to compare her writing to that of Octavia Butler and Toni Morrison and Samuel R. Delany, to name her the formidable new master of the macabre. Jessia's episode for I Hear Fear, hosted by Carey Mulligan, titled Under the Skin, was produced by Wondery and Amazon Music and debuted on Halloween 2022. She is represented by Alex Shane of Writers House and Suki Chu and Katrina Escudero of Sugar 23. P. Geely Clark is the award-winning and Hugo, Nebula, Sturgeon, British Fantasy, and World Fantasy Award-nominated author of the novel A Master of Jinn, and the novellas Ring Shout, The Black God's Drums, and The Haunting of Tramkara 015. His stories have appeared in online venues such as Tor.com, Daily Science Fiction, Heroic Fantasy Quarterly, Apex, Lightspeed, Fireside Magazine, and Beneath Ceaseless Skies, and in print anthologies including Griot's Hidden Youth and Clockwork Cairo. He is a founding member of Faya Literary Magazine and an infrequent reviewer at Strange Horizons. His most recent novel is A Beanie's Song, the first book in the middle grade fantasy series. At the current time, he resides in a small Edwardian castle in New England with his wife, daughters, and pet dragon, who suspiciously resembles a Boston Terrier. When so inclined, he rambles on issues of speculative fiction, politics, and diversity at his aptly named blog, The Disgruntled Haradrim. Ezra Clayton Daniels is a mixed-race, black/white American multidisciplinary artist. Born and raised in Sioux City, Iowa, Ezra is the creator of the award-winning sci-fi horror graphic novels Upgrade Soul, Oni Press, and BTTM, FDRS, Fantagraphics. His work has been featured on the Criterion Channel and at Chicago's Museum of Contemporary Art, and is in the permanent collection of the Whitney Museum. Ezra currently resides in Los Angeles, where he writes for film and television. Tananarive Du Tananarive Du is an award-winning author who teaches Black horror and Afrofuturism at UCLA. She is an executive producer on Shudder's groundbreaking documentary Horror Noir, A History of Black Horror. She and her husband collaborator Stephen Barnes wrote A Small Town for season 2 of Hold on a minute. Of Jordan Peele's The Twilight Zone on Paramount Plus, and 2 segments of Shudder's anthology film Horror Noir. They also co-wrote their Black horror graphic novel The Keeper illustrated by Marco Finnegan. Du and Barnes co-host a podcast, Life Writing, Write for Your Life, a leading voice in Black speculative fiction for more than 20 years. Du has won an American Book Award, an NAACP Image Award, and a British Fantasy Award, and her writing has been included in Best of the Year anthologies. Her books include The Reformatory, The Wishing Pool, and Other Stories, Go Summer Stories, My Soul to Keep, and The Good House. She and her late mother, civil rights activist Patricia Stephens Du, co-authored Freedom in the Family, a mother-daughter memoir of the fight for civil rights. She and her husband live in Southern California with their son Jason. Nolu Hopkinson is a Jamaican-born author living in Canada. Her novels and short fiction have received the World Fantasy Award, the Sturgeon Award, the Sunburst Award for Excellence in Canadian Literature of the Fantastic, and the Nebula Award, among others. In 2021, Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America gave her the Damon Knight Memorial Grand Master Award for her contributions to the genre and the community. She is the first woman of African descent and the youngest person to date to receive this award. N.K. Jemisin is the first author in the genre's history to win 3 consecutive Best Novel Hugo Awards for her Broken Earth trilogy. Her work has won the Nebula and Locus Awards, and she is the 2020 MacArthur Fellow. The first book in her current Great Cities trilogy, The City We Became, is a New York Times bestseller. Her speculative works range from fantasy to science fiction to the undefinable. Her themes include resistance to oppression, the inseverability of the liminal, and the coolness of stuff blowing up. She's been an instructor for Clarion and Clarion West Writing Workshops. Among other critical work, she was formerly the science fiction and fantasy book reviewer at the New York Times. In her spare time, she's a gamer and gardener responsible for saving the world from King Ozymandias, her dangerously intelligent ginger cat, and his destructive sidekick, the marvelous Master Magpie. Justin C. Key is a speculative fiction writer and psychiatrist whose short stories have appeared in the magazine of fantasy and science fiction, Strange Horizons, Tor.com, Escape Pod, and Light Speed. A graduate of Clarion West, his debut short story collection, The World Wasn't Ready for You, is out now for HarperCollins. When Justin isn't writing, working with patients, or exploring Los Angeles with his wife, he's chasing after his 3 young and energetic children. L.D. Lewis is an editor, publisher, and Shirley Jackson Award-nominated writer of speculative fiction. She serves as the founding creator and project manager for the World Fantasy Award and Hugo Award-winning Faya literary magazine. She also serves as the researcher for the also award-winning LeVar Burton Reads podcast, and pays the bills as the director of programs and operations for Lambda Literary. She is the author of A Ruin of Shadows, Dancing Star Press 2018, and her published short fiction and poetry include appearances in Faya, Podcastle, Fireside Magazine, Strange Horizons, Anthema, Spec for the Margins, Lightspeed, and Neon Hemlock, among others. She lives in Georgia on perpetual deadline with her coffee habit, 2 cats, and an impressive Lego build collection. Nettie Okorafor is an international award-winning New York Times best-selling writer of speculative fiction for adults, young adults, and children. The more specific terms for her works are African Futurism and African Jujuism. Nettie has received the World Fantasy, Nebula, Eisner, and Lodestar Awards and multiple Hugo and Nomo Awards, among others for her works. Her memoir, Broken Places in Outer Spaces, was a Locus Award nominee. Nettie has also written comics for Marvel, including Black Panther, Long Live the King, Wakanda Forever, featuring the Dori Milaje and Shuri series. She has books currently being adapted for TV by HBO, Amazon Studios, 20th Century Fox, and others. Champions of her work include Neil Gaiman, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, George R. Martin, and Rick Riordan. Literary ancestors Diana Wynne Jones, Ursula K. Le Guin, and Nawal El Saadawi also loved her work. Nettie holds a PhD in literature and 2 master's degrees, journalism and literature, and is a professor of practice at Arizona State University. She lives in Phoenix with her daughter, Annie Hugo. Learn more at Nettie.com. You can also follow her on Twitter at Nettie and Instagram at NettieOkura4. Noki Onyobuki is the author of Goliath, which was named one of Time Magazine's 100 must-read books of 2022, as well as The Guardian's 5 best science fiction and fantasy books of 2022. His previous fiction includes Riot Baby, a finalist for Hugo, Nebula, Locus, and NAACP Image Awards, and winner of the New England Book Award for Fiction, an Alex Award and the World Fantasy Award, the Beast Made of Night series, and the War Girl series. He has earned degrees for Yale University, New York University's Tisch School of Arts, Columbia Law School, and the Paris Institute of Political Studies. His short fiction has appeared in the Best American Fiction Fantasy and the year's Best Science Fiction and elsewhere. His nonfiction includes the book Skinfolk and has appeared in the New York Times, on NPR, and in the Harvard Journal of African American Public Policy. Tochi has also written the limited series Black Panther, Legends from Marvel Comics, and Captain America: Symbol of Truth, starring Sam Wilson as Captain America. Rebecca Roanworth is the New York Times bestselling Hugo, Nebula, Locus, and Ignite award-winning author. Rebecca has published multiple award-winning short stories, which can be found in publications such as Apex Magazine, The Mythic Dream, Star Wars Clone Wars, and A Phoenix First Must Burn, among many others. Her short fiction has also appeared on the LeVar Burton Reads podcast and as part of Amazon's original stories series. Rebecca has also written novels, including 2 in the Six World series: Star Wars, Resistance Reborn, The Black Sun, The Fevered Star, both part of the epic fantasy trilogy Between Earth and Sky, with the final novel, Mirrored Heavens, set to release in 2024. She has also written for Marvel Comics, including Phoenix Sun, Echo, Crypt of Shadows, Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night, and Women of Marvel, She-Hulk. Rebecca also writes for television and has had project options by Amazon Studios, Netflix, and AMC Studios, as well as John Legend's Get Lifted Film Company. She has dedicated this story to her aunt, who was an award-winning doll maker in Cedar Hill, Texas. Nicole D. Sconiers was born in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, the small town where the cult classic The Blob was filmed. Her childhood was spent reading Mad and Fangoria and writing creepy stories. Miss Sconia's passion for dark tales and social justice issues led her to pursue an MFA in creative writing from Antioch University, Los Angeles. She blends horror, speculative fiction, and humor in stories centered complex Black heroines. She is the author of Escape from Beckyville, Tales of Race, Hair and Rage, a speculative fiction short story collection that has been taught at colleges and universities around the country. Her work has appeared in Nightmare Magazine, Lightspeed Magazine, Speculative City, Nightlight, a horror fiction podcast, Spelman College's literary journal, Aunt Chloe, a journal of artful candor, and other publications. Her short stories were published in anthologies Black from the Future, a collection of Black speculative writing, December Tells, and Sycorex's Daughters, which was a Bram Stoker Award finalist. Miss Sconiers resides in Pennsylvania and is a self-taught oil painter. She is currently working on a collection of short horror stories about small towns. Rian Amilcar Scott is the author of the story collections The World Doesn't Require You and Insurrections, which was awarded the 2017 PEN Bingham Prize for Debut Fiction and the 2017 Hillsdale Award for the Fellowship of Southern Writers. He teaches creative writing at the University of Maryland. His work has appeared in The New Yorker, the Kenyon Review, Best American Science Fiction and Fantasy 2020, and Crab Orchard Review, among other publications. Terrence Taylor, which you can find at terrencetaylor.com, lives and writes in Gowanus, Brooklyn, with Shuri, his black cat and part-time muse. After years of comforting kids with award-winning children's television written by PBS, Nickelodeon, and Disney, among others, he turned to scaring their parents in print. His short story, Plaything, appeared in Brandon Macy's Dark Dreams, the first horror suspense anthology of African-American authors. Terrence's work was in the next 2 volumes, and his short stories and nonfiction essays have since appeared in Lightspeed, Fantastic Stories of the Imagination, Nightmare Magazine, What the Crack Is That?, the Saga Anthology of the Monstrous and the Macabre, the Canterbury Nightmares, and more. His first novel, Bite Marks, was a modern-day grand millennial about the unintended but catastrophic creation of an undead infant, graced with a starred review by Publishers Weekly that described it as a gritty, screen-worthy supernatural noir set in 1980s New York. It was followed by Blood Pressure 20 years later, a new menace endangers the humans and vampires that survived Book 1. Terrence will soon conclude his trilogy with Past Life, set in 2027, as that rising horror threatens to end the world. Caldwell Turnbull is the award-winning author of The Lesson, No Gods, No Monsters, and We Are the Crisis. His short fiction has appeared in The Verge, Lightspeed, Nightmare, Asimov's Science Fiction, and several anthologies, including the Best American Science Fiction and Fantasy 2018, and the year's Best Science Fiction and Fantasy 2019. His novel, The Lesson, was the winner of the 2020 Newcomb Institute Literary Award in the debut category. The novel was also shortlisted for the VCU Cabell Award and longlisted for the Massachusetts Book Award. His novel, No Gods, No Monsters, is the winner of the Lambda and a finalist for the Shirley Jackson Award. Turnbull is from St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. About the editors. Jordan Peele is an Oscar and Emmy Award-winning writer, producer, and director. His debut feature, Get Out, was released in 2017 to widespread acclaim, earning 4 Academy Award nominations, winning Best Original Screenplay for Peele. In 2019, Peele wrote, produced, and directed his second feature, Us, which instantly became a smash hit with audiences and critics alike, posting the largest box office opening for an original horror movie ever. In the summer of 2022, Peele released his third feature, the sci-fi horror epic Nope. If you haven't seen it, you gotta see it. It's freaking epic. Which also opened to number 1 at the box office. Also in 2022, Peele and Monkey Paw released the Henry Selick directed stop-motion film Wendell and Wild for Netflix, which Peele co-wrote. Creator of Comedy Central's Key and Peele. Across 5 seasons, the show's unique take on sketch comedy became a viral sensation online. In 2012, Peele formed his film and television company, Monkey Paw Productions, to champion unconventional storytelling through genre. John Joseph Adams is the series editor of Best American Science Fiction and Fantasy, and is the editor of more than 40 anthologies, such as Wastelands, The Living Dead, and The People's Future of the United States. He is also editor of the Hugo Award-winning magazine Lightspeed, and was editor of its sister magazine Nightmare for its first 100 issues. As the publisher of both magazines from 2014 to 2016, he published the acclaimed Destroy series with special issues which were 100% written and edited by women, LGBTQ, and BIPOC creators. When not editing short fiction, he is a producer for Wired's The Geek's Guide to the Galaxy podcast, and for 5 years he was the editor of an eponymous novel imprint of Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. Lately, he's been working as an editor and occasionally game designer on various role-playing game projects for Kobold Press and Montcook Games. About the type. This book was set in Caslin, a typeface first designed in 1722 by William Caslin, 1692 to 1766. Its widespread use for most English printers in the early 18th century soon supplanted the Dutch typefaces that had formerly prevailed. The Roman is considered a workhorse typeface due to its pleasant, open appearance, while the italic is exceedingly decorative. Wow. Jordan Peele is an Oscar and Emmy award-winning writer, producer, and director, and the founder of Monkey Paw Productions. His debut feature, Get Out, was released in 2017 to widespread acclaim, earning 4 Academy Award nominations and winning Best Original Screenplay for Peele. In 2019, Peele wrote, produced, and directed his second feature, Us, which instantly became a smash hit with audiences and critics alike, posting the largest box office opening for an original horror movie ever. In the summer of 2022, Peele released his third feature, the sci-fi horror epic Nope, which also opened at #1 at the box office. Prior to Get Out, Peele was the co-creator of Comedy Central's Key and Peele. Across 5 seasons, the show's unique take on sketch comedy became a viral sensation online. In 2012, Peele formed his film and television company, Monkey Paw Productions, to champion unconventional storytelling through the genre. You can find him on Twitter at monkeypaw or Instagram at monkeypaw productions. Also available from Penguin Random House Audio. Jacket design by Janae Nachel Fraser. Jacket art, Don't Make Friends at 2023 by Arnold J. Kemp. Author, photograph, Kwaku Alston for 411.agency. randomhousebooks.com. Random House, copyright 2023 by Penguin Random House LLC. Yay, we did it! We finished the book. Alright, what are we going to read next? How about some freaky-deaky ghost stories from online? Or maybe we could check out a book from the library on the computer? Let's see. Alright, so now we're going to be reading some real ghost stories from Reddit. The first ghost story is by Alex_Iru03. Hi. I know this might not sound true or scary, but experiencing it yourself is terrifying. For context, we have a terraced house, so our house and our neighbor's house are together. It's 2 stories high, 2 rooms upstairs, living room, kitchen, bathroom, and laundry. When walking up to the house, you will go through the patio where you will go past the living room window and to our door. We had a few windows in the whole house, but there are all in almost normal human height from outside, so people can just stare in. Anyway, that is what I would describe our house like. I grew up in that house, so I only know most of these stories from my parents. Thinking about it now, it's giving me goosebumps. So I was around 3 or 4 years old, and I was outside the house playing. My mom suddenly noticed that I was giggling a lot and sounded like I was talking to someone. We knew everyone in town, so she didn't think too much of it. When she went outside for a quick smoke, she could see me from the patio, but she couldn't see the person I was talking to. So she called me over to her, asking me who I was talking to. I told her I was talking to an old man and that he wanted to come inside and play with me and my toys. She thought I was talking to an imaginary friend, so she said yes, that he could, not knowing she had invited a not-friendly phenomenon into our house. Because this old guy was not friendly at all, as a kid I didn't know it, but when I grew older I could tell he wasn't just an imaginary friend. He was indeed the spirit. He would knock on our doors and windows, knock things down or move them around. He was the reason I couldn't walk down our stairs, forward, only backwards. He would push me down the stairs and make loud thumping sounds down or up the stairs. When I was 12 years old, we started sleeping in our living room for 2 to 3 years, because the old guy stayed upstairs in our bedrooms. I remember I had a lot of sleep paralysis up in my bedroom, where the old guy was scaring me, walking slowly towards me. He had really dark eyes, almost black, around 60 to 70 years old, open mouth, and had a raspy old voice. He didn't say much when he did, but in short sentences. I can't remember them, but I know he wanted to tell me something. You'll understand at the end of my story. I remember one thing from when I slept in our living room. I had an out-of-body experience. I was watching me and my parents sleeping. Suddenly I noticed a shadow at our kitchen door, and I noticed it was looking at my mom. Then I noticed that my mom had sleep paralysis, but this time it wasn't the old guy she saw, but a demon with a long cloak, and was holding chains in its hands. It swung them like a lasso and threw it at my mom's feet. The chains locked my mom's feet, and my mom couldn't do anything but watch it, trying to scream. The demon started to pull my mom off the couch and just laid motionless. As soon as she hit the floor, she could finally scream and woke up my dad and me. She couldn't talk, and my dad was so confused, so I told him what I saw, and we called the priest to cleanse our house. My mom couldn't walk on her feet for over a week after that experience. When we were going to move to Denmark from our home city, we had to get our boxes from the attic, and as we were getting them down, we found a picture of the old man. We quickly found our Bible, and we said prayers, burned the picture, and just felt at peace. I knew he was trying to tell me something, but I still never know what or why. Later I found out the old guy was my friend's grandpa who died years ago, but he lived in the house before us. I go visit his grave whenever I am in our old city. I don't know why I wrote it here. I just haven't told many about this. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Thank you for reading. Growing up in Scotland. I grew up in a large old house in rural Scotland during the 1980s. The house had a long, steep footpath from the gate to the house, up a slope, too steep for a car. We used to have milk delivered between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. by the local milkman, but after a while they stopped delivering to the doorstep, choosing to drop the bottles at the bottom of the gate. My mom asked why, and the milkman said his lad was scared of the gardener. We didn't have a gardener, and my mom didn't push back or question it, simply putting it down to a lazy milkman's lad or them wanting to speed through delivery. A few months went past, and my brothers had a friend over to play. His friend told my mom that Sandy's grandpa is in the front garden. He's just standing there with his fork, not saying anything. My mom wondered who it was, walked around the house, saw nothing, asked what he looked like, and had a description of a man with a white beard, tweed bonnet, worn tweed clothing, and trousers held up by tied string. Mom thought it sounded like the village alcoholic and mentally diminished man who did odd jobs, known as Billy. Everyone knew Billy, and my brother's friends said, "No, Billy doesn't have a beard," and my mom said, "Of course he doesn't. Must be someone else, other than the beard." This was a good description of Billy. Mom thought nothing more. About 6 months later, we were swapped to a new dairy delivering to us from the town about 10 miles away because Mom was fed up with the collecting of the milk from the gate. After a few weeks, there was a smashed milk bottle on the doorstep, and then they stopped delivering. Same as before. My mom phoned up to speak to them, and they said they'd speak to the lad during the run. An 18-year-old. He told them he was scared by the old man gardening and was sorry for the smashed bottle, but he startled him by standing over him. This time my mom asked what he looked like and had the same description my brother's friend gave. Old man with beard, wear a cap and old tweeds. There are, of course, lots of plausible explanations, but it is the one thing I can't explain because the milkmen wouldn't have known each other, and my brother's friend, who was about 10, would know the milkman either. There were no other incidents in the 15 years we lived there after that. My dad was a local doctor and ex-military man, being very much the scientist, even set up little trigger traps with fishing lines and tent pegs to see if they would be disturbed by someone passing through the garden. But they were never triggered. No idea if it was an actual old man who gardened or whatever. I'm not religious and don't believe in fairies, but this is the closest I can come to it. FC. Wow, it's amazing. The old abandoned hospital at my work. For context, I'm now 18, just started a new job at a hospital, and there is one building built in 1867 that I got to explore recently with beautiful architecture and creepy hallways. So I asked about if any of the staff had stories and got 3 good ones from the member of staff. Let's call him Dave. Story 1. So one night in this building, the security break box was broken, and so one of the security team members came down to check it out. He then called Dave to come fix it. When Dave got there, the security guy was down in the car park and nowhere near the back entrance where the repairs were needed. Dave spoke to the guy who refused to go close to the building with him, so he went by himself. As he was fixing the security break box, he heard some small tapping noises, as if someone was throwing marbles or small stones at a brick wall. Dave shouted down to the security guard, "Stop fucking about!" And the guard replied that he wasn't doing anything, so Dave just carried on and again heard the tapping noises the entire time, not seeing any rocks landing or hitting any walls around him. When he finished, he went back down to the security guard and asked what he was talking about earlier, and Dave just said that he thought the guy was fucking about, and two, that the guard said, "Did you hear the rocks being thrown at you?" And Dave said, "Yeah," and then the guard said, "That's one fucking down here." This specific experience has been told by a lot of staff. Story 2. In this building there is a basement, because of course there is. It has open stairs as you go down, and there is a long hallway at the bottom of the stairs with some pipes and other old things that were important to keep this place running. One night, Dave was down there with another colleague, and they were walking towards the end of the hallway, and Dave sees a dark, shadowy figure quickly move at the end of the hallway. It just brushed it off for being a trick of light and or something psychological, and then his colleague asked him if he had seen it, to which Dave said, "Seen what?" The other guy that was there described the shadow figure at the end of the hallway in the same space and stated he had seen it a few times, but thought it was just his shadow. Story 3. Another night, Dave and a different staff member were working up in the attic with only 3 head torches, and Dave's colleague was mucking about and asked, "If there are any spirits around us, give us a sign." And immediately there was a loud crash from across the attic, and so they whipped their heads around to look at where it came from, and there was nothing there at all. Nothing that could have caused the crash, no boxes that could have fallen, no humans, no animals, nothing to explain the crash, to which the other staff member said, "Well, fuck, I think I've said the wrong thing." Most employees will not go into the building alone or anywhere near it at night. Even security guards will miss it off their checks at night because they are too scared to go near it. This doesn't mean nobody checks in there. There are plenty of cameras around this area. Now, taking in all this info and more, would it be dumb to ask if someone would let me in at night to experience this for myself? To see if there are any truth to these stories of ghosts that haunts at night? Probably. Am I still going to ask if it's possible? Absolutely. Goodness. There's a little girl ghost in there. family picture. That was pretty creepy. Just standing in the doorway. Who's that? It wasn't the pipes. This one is by Buzzy4B33. For context, I was about 13 years old when it all started. I've always had vivid memories of when I was a child, remembering things as far back as 3 to 4 years old. Me too, boo. I was just turned 14, and it was a chilly January Thursday night when we moved in. A much bigger house than our last. We needed room after all. Having 7 kids wasn't easy on my parents. My little sister Neve had an imaginary friend Paul, but nobody thought anything of it, of course. The first night, as I was organizing my shoes and putting all my posters out in my room to myself, she was wandering around looking at my stuff. She then said, "Paul would like your closet. He likes you." I barely gave it any notice, as she would say that stuff all the time, and apparently Paul had always lived in my closet for some reason. She was only 7, so I brushed it off. But just when I was dozing to sleep in my new bed, I heard something in the corner of my room, like a tapping or creaking noise. Then my Rottweiler, sitting on the end of my bed, stood up and started growling. I ignored it, as I thought it was just the pipes or something, so I flipped over in my bed. I then felt the feeling of something sitting on top of my bed. I thought it was just one of my sisters climbing into my bed, something they did when they couldn't sleep, so I ignored it until I felt that thing lie down behind me, and in the corner of my eye I seen a dark shadow, like a hand, hover over my waist, and I moved over to get a better look, as I don't like when someone's touching me as I sleep. Then it feels as if, in record time, it gets off my bed in less than seconds, as I'm turning over. I see nothing, of course, but then I heard my closet door open and shut loudly on the other side of the room, and my clothes hangers rattle. Oh yeah. Paul. Paul, you creeper. My continuous and very frightening experience of Goatman's Bridge in Denton, Texas. Hi. For reference, I am a 24-year-old female. Okay, I'm going to start out by apologizing for not adding any photos, tangent proof, or deep history lessons here. I would appreciate if you all could not accuse me of lying or being mentally ill. This is 100% true. You must take me at my word, because this is still an ongoing experience in me, and I am physically affected every day by ongoing nausea, especially when I look at photos or talk about the history of this common place. I am trying my best to avoid making matters worse. I feel grueling resistance as I am typing this, and I am fighting the nausea right at this moment, so I hope you can understand. Last Sunday was Father's Day. I was with my boyfriend, my mom, and my dad sitting at the dinner table eating when the topic of ghost hunting came up. My boyfriend, let's call him B, and I love this type of thing. Neither of us are particularly religious. We are a couple of open-minded, curious agnostics, so the idea that spirits could exist and possibly show themselves to us excites us very much. We had heard about the Gutman's Bridge, officially called Old Alton Bridge, from a couple sources, friends, Ghost Adventures TV show, and other articles online. We also live relatively close to the location. Please look up the history yourself. Just Google Gutman's Bridge in history. I will tell you it is KKK-related gruesome violence, leading to the death of a successful African-American that lived nearby. Every time I read about it now, I feel like I am going to puke. So anyways, we decided to go. My dad has never encountered a spirit before, and this place seemed to be a very popular spot for ghost hunting. We went at about 10 p.m., a prime time to explore the bridge and hike the trails with little interruption. The bridge at first was empty and seemed a bit spooky, but we didn't see anything out of the ordinary there. We then hiked a couple different trails nearby. The first one was completely fine, no activity. The second trail, we saw a pair of glowing eyes in the distance. When I shone the flashlight in that direction, we all think it was a deer, though. Third trail, we came up to this very very scary-looking graffiti-covered structure. It had words like, "We all die." It had 2 pentagrams within the letters of that. There were stars across the top of it, with fake blood dripping from every other one, and it also had a number of symbols and words that none of us or Google Lens could decipher. Although we all did see my nickname, Jim, written slightly hidden within another acronym. I forgot what it was, and I'm not going to look at the pictures right now, sorry. Later, B had dug some more online and found out that the structure is actually an altar that had been used for animal sacrifices, and is still being used in rituals by a modern group called the Dark KKK. All in all, the most exciting part about going to the place itself was me tripping over a root and bruising both my knees. Yeah, some kind of boring. The only paranormal activity that the 3 of us had witnessed was my dad expressing he felt an unexplainable quick tap on his back a few yards from the altar. So we go back to the bridge, and to our surprise, about 4 or 5 men, white, early 20s, were sitting on the spider-infested bridge, smoking cigarettes and remaining unusually silent. I honestly don't know why anyone would hang out there at midnight and not have flashlights or anything, but hey, maybe they're just kind of weird, who knows? I didn't have a very good feeling about them, though. As soon as I got in the car, I felt like I was going to puke. I was not sick with any illness. I am not sick now either. At first, I believed it was, and is, visceral reaction to the haunted place. Now I know it was, and is, something more. When we got home, I was in immense pain, unspeakable, excruciating nausea, went to go wash my hands in the bathroom. When I looked at my reflection, I didn't recognize myself. I was looking into someone else's eyes. I met the gaze of someone violent, someone with immense hate. It was not my reflection, rather someone, or something, was using my body to see through me. I know it sounds crazy, but it just gets crazier. I apologize on some of these upcoming details. I was not in control of my body or mind at this time. My memory of this part is almost dreamlike. B could see that something had changed in me. He told me to lie down because the nausea was making me lightheaded and very dizzy. I remember B asking me a series of questions. I don't remember most, but I do remember saying that I am not Jin. I remember how my hate-filled gaze felt resting on B's eyes. I remember my dog not coming over to me like she usually does. I remember telling B that I was unsure of whether we should stay or not because I was afraid I would hurt him physically. I felt extremely violent to the point that I was digging my nails into my hands as hard as I could, but could feel no pain. I remember wanting to break his hand when I was holding it. I remember fixating on a wall filled with very old photos of my ancestors and having the feeling that whatever is in me is trying to learn how to become me. I still think that last feeling I mentioned is lingering in me even today. The next day I woke up and couldn't shake the thought that I had this new body. I tried doing things I don't normally do. I was testing my pleasures, my body, its limits. I think whatever took over my body is mostly gone. It is a possibility that I may be in fact haunting my own psyche since that night as a reaction to try to cope, but both B and I know that something took hold of me that night, and I am paying for that every day now. By the way, I took pictures with my DSLR, some with flash and without. In almost every photo, if you zoomed all the way in, you could see at least one red strange-looking pixel lurking in different parts of the photo. I have absolutely no clue if this is a camera-related issue or not, but I become more physically ill the longer I look at them. Does anyone know if this is normal for taking raw night photos on a Canon Rebel T3i? The red dots showed up in both images with flash and without flash, so totally dark. So as you know, B did more digging on Google after this whole thing, and he actually found out that women typically have stronger paranormal experiences or reactions at Goatman's Bridge and could be related to this evil spirit named Steve. I do not wish to say any more about that, so please feel free to look it up. If anyone has a good cure for nausea besides Pepto or weed, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, cures for getting rid of these lingering psychological effects that resulted from the night would be nice too. Open to any discussions or questions / recommendations. Thanks, y'all. And this was by I'm okay, no thanks. Another Aussie 101 wrote, "House I grew up in is haunted." Okay, so these are my experiences of when I was growing up in a house so blatantly haunted my friends only ever stayed over once. Might as well start with the daily occurrences. For context, the house was raised, so we had a garage and basically storage under the living space at ground level, so no animals walking on the ground and making noise in the house and stuff. So we had the footsteps walking down the hall, and there was only me in the house, the pantry door being open every morning. My dad would be up at like 4 a.m. to get ready for work, and it would open, so he'd close it and blame it on me for some time. Okay, so on to more wild stuff. I was hanging out with a mate of mine, and we made our way back to my place and realized I didn't have a key, so I asked him to just wait at the front door, and I'd go to the back door. We never bothered to lock the back door because we had a neo-mastiff, so I went around back, walked up the stairs, and opened the door into the kitchen, and directly in front of me was the T intersecting the hallway, and a shadow projected onto the wall. So first, the sun was a solid 90 degrees on the side where the shadow could be mine. Second, it was standing full height from the floor. As I moved, it didn't, so I froze as my mind was processing what I was seeing. It turned and bolted towards the living room and the front door, and yes, I heard both, and felt the footfalls, so in that moment my mind shifted from shadow to intruder, and I run after it. I'm talked like 2 meters across the kitchen, and about 3 to the living room, and I remember my friend was at the door waiting for me, so I just make for the door and realized there was nobody around. I opened the door and told my friend there might be someone hiding right here, so help me check. Nothing. Short one this time, sitting at the computer about 1 to 2 a.m. having a crank, felt a hot breath blow across the back of my neck. Jumped out of my skin with that one. I have 2 younger sisters. I was watching TV with one of them in the living room and decided I had enough and was going to bed, so got up, said goodnight, started walking to my room, and at the end of the hall, parents' room with mirror, not facing the hall but visible from it, was a young girl in white PJs. I just thought it was my youngest sister and gave it no more thought for about 3 more steps till I reached her doorway and she was sitting there playing Naruto game on the old PS2. That's when I looked back at the hall and it was empty. I remember muttering, "Damn it, Bob." At this point, we had long since started calling the ghost Bob, just so we had something to call it. The fated friends night over, so not much happened for most of the night till we decided that it was bedtime. We were 19 at the time. Anyway, it was the following morning when I got up and went to the living room where my mate had slept, and he looked like hell. Our lights had an afterglow function, so you could see for a few minutes after turning them off. Well, apparently about an hour after I'd buggered off to bed, the lights flicked twice, and the blue glow kicked on, and that stirred him awake, thinking one of us was up. Then the front door started rattling in the frame, like someone was outside pushing and pulling on it. That eventually stopped, and not long after, he heard the footsteps going from the door, down the hall, and back for some time. He said he pulled the blanket up over his head when the door started banging and wasn't game enough to pull it down to see what was walking around. He flatly refused to stay a single night ever again in that house. This is just a snapshot of the shenanigans that we experienced in that house, but they are also the most memorable. Portals to Hell. I'm going to make a story cataloging all the portals to hell. I have a theory that there must be 666 portals, so I'm trying to find them. If you know any, please let me know. This is by CJ-Nash-200. Late night voice outside in our yard. This is by Worried Wishbone. Worried-Wishbone-643. So this one is kind of short. My step siblings came over like they did every other weekend and stayed. It was late when I got up to go to the bathroom. I lay back down in my bed and go back to sleep. Mind you, it's summer, so I had my window open. Just before I could go back to sleep, I hear a faint, "Help me!" So I get back up and look outside, since that's where I heard it from. We live in the country, so unless someone was on our property, I shouldn't have heard anything. I heard it again, but a little louder, come from by our garage. I heard it 2 more times before I closed my window and started off to sleep. Just as I dozed off, my little stepsister started to scream. Woke up the whole house. When we all got to her room, she told us she heard someone or something trying to open the door. The room was the closest to the door she was talking about, but I wasn't able to hear the knob turn. She never heard the voice, but I did tell her. She told us that she just woke up and heard the knob jiggling and started to freak out. Heronic said, "Well, as to the voice, it's strange. You could go to sleep, okay, with a disembodied voice calling for help. As to the doorknob turning, why would that make your stepsister scream when she knew that other people were in the house? There's nothing inherently scary about a doorknob turning unless the door was glass and she could see that no one was there. The story doesn't really make sense to me, sorry." Worried Wishbone 643 said, "Well, considering it was early morning on a weekend, and when I say early, I mean 2 or 3 a.m., no one was awake, let alone outside, and we lived in the middle of nowhere. I was only awake because I woke up, went to the bathroom, and was trying to go back to sleep when I heard whatever it was outside. Why, when I put my stuff up here, anyone tries to shut it down, but everyone else, it's, ooh, so scary. Everything I put up here is real regardless of what anyone says, but you don't like it, don't read it." Oh, Tennis 38707 said, "You're right." Alright, well, let's not, fight and bicker on here, you guys. Come on now. Can't we all just get along? Shadow figures in my room. Worried Wishbone 643 again. So this is probably one of the weirdest encounters I've had and scariest, because I'm not sure what it was or wanted. But probably 15 years ago, when I was still a teen, just before bed every night, at the same time I'd see a shadow figure. It would also start out in the corner of my room, then make its way to the foot of my bed. Really tall and thin shadow figure. And it always made me feel the same, and I could never move while it was around. I just laid there frozen somehow. But I would just stand there facing me, and didn't have a face, just an outline of a person. Half of me thinks it's just what I was a shadow figure. I don't know, but I do know they are a thing. But the other half wonders because it seemed to take over my thoughts and would completely freeze me in bed. Plus, every time I came around, the temp would drop in my room. I know I'm not the best at writing these, but I'll get better. There's a weird ghost-looking thing in that yard by that bonfire. Ghost in the Parkway by puzzleheaded_fudge15. Just 5 days ago now, I was driving home from work around 9 to 10 at night, and right through this wooded parkway was my house. A creek runs down the right side of it. It's actually a very beautiful spot, but on this night, I believe I saw a ghost darting into the woods near the creek. It presented itself like a floaty white humanoid figure, and it almost appeared to have been wearing a dress. I thought it might be an animal, but it was much too tall and very much looked like an almost human. What was weird about it was that it was pitch black outside and the figure was glowing. It didn't scare me much, but I did stop the car to stare into the woods, and there was nothing. I came home and told my family about it and such. It wasn't a huge deal, as I said. It didn't scare me, and it seemed pretty passive. However, my sister said she had seen the same thing in damn near the same spot 2 years ago. But yesterday, the parkway was flooded with police right across from the high school baseball field and near the woods right where I saw my ghost. And it turns out they found the body of a 50-year-old woman down there through the woods close to the creek. That was her skeletal remains, and her ID was right next to her. It begs the questions, how long was she down there? A place where kids walk home from school all the time, that I drive past every day. And how did she end up there? They're still investigating, as it was just discovered. I have no choice but to believe that she was the ghost my sister and I had both saw. Super, super freaky, especially considering it's just a short walk down the road to my house. I'm talking less than a mile. I hope she gets her peace. This is by No Stupid Questions. Unsettling energy / presence in my roommate's house and my experience with it. Looking for someone who has experience with these things or links to more specific subreddit to ask this question. TLDR kept getting freaked out by an ominous feeling from the corner of the living room. One of my buddies says, "Ask how you can help it." Proceed to do that. Felt like my nervous system was being overwhelmed and put into a state similar to sleep paralysis. One night, get up as usual around 2-3 a.m. to pee, go back to my room, which is next to the living room, hairs in my eyes, and distinctly see the shadow of a woman on the wall next to the front door. I know no one but me is at home, still startled, but go back to bed. Get up again as usual that week, but now there's a strange presence, feeling, from the far corner of the living room. Chalk it up to just memory of being startled and tell myself that was just my paranoias. Keeps happening. Now when I look over at the corner, as I am almost compelled to do, so that it stays in the corner or whatever, my nervous system lights up with heavy chills up my spine every time. Loudly tell the thing that it is not allowed to be here. Salt the corner. Feel lessons for a couple days, but comes back just as strong. Tell my buddy about it. He asks it, how can he help it move on? One night, can't sleep, so I lay there meditating and reach out to the energy and ask how I can help it. The nervous system lights up. The closest feeling to it I have felt is from hyperventilating. My breathing and heart rate are normal. I practiced lucid dreaming pretty intensely for a while and would wake up with sleep paralysis relatively often as a side effect. As far as I know, I have not lost consciousness, but my body is now in a state of very similar to sleep paralysis, but with my nervous system buzzing. None of this exactly scary or negative, but I tell the thing that I can't hold on to me and attempt to turn towards it, and that release my body. Since then, the presence is no longer in the corner of my room, and my nerves don't light up when I look over there, nor do I feel a compulsion to look like I used to. I'm not even sure I know what I'm asking for, but maybe put into contact with someone with some kind of experience with this stuff, or recommendations for reading. Thank you to anyone who reads or has a recommendation. Hands-on me in the 17th century building. This is by Son of Remington. Right. I've posted on here before, so I feel like people might think I'm just making shit up. I'm not. There's two stories here. Bear with me. It will scare you as much as it did me. 7 years living in a massive converted 18th century building, all converted apartments. Mine an open-plan living room, kitchen, etc. One bedroom. One night, me and my friend get drunk and decide to use my camera and record stuff to go into the vast basement, doing the standard ghost hunting stupid stuff. Messing around because it's an old building. The basement was easy to get into because the electric meters are down there. The basement is interesting. Massive various rooms, all really worn stone. You can see the little rooms where meat must have been hung and butchered, then just things stored. Well, we get back to my apartment and listen in to what we've recorded. chillingly, within the first 20 seconds, there was a young girl's voice saying, "Don't." That was it. Nothing for the next 30 minutes or so. We both shit ourselves, kept putting it back. It was clear as day. Don't. We listened to it all. Nothing. Just that. Don't. If you read my other post, you'll know I mix music. I isolated the vocal tones on a 64 band EQ, and it was clear. That isn't even the main story. I'm living there for about another 4 years, all feels good, good energy, all fine, and then this happened recently. I lost my job and basically decided to move out having a bit of depression, moving things out daily to my dad's house. I'm sitting in a bit of a shithole, normally kept things pristine, but I kind of lost faith a bit. My apartment was in a bit of a bad state, beer bottles and unwashed pots. I'm laid on the sofa watching TV and start to see a small white little dot, or what folk call orbs, moving around, like some coming towards me. Fucking weird, but also black ones, black dots just moving randomly. I'm not tired, I'm not on drugs, I'm not drunk, I'm hydrated and I've eaten, I'm not sick. I was like, WTF, so I just watch. They just kept moving around me, lots, towards me, past my head, getting a little bit larger as they come near me. Believe me, I'm not making this up. If you can fucking tell me what happened, feel free. Then I feel a push on my ankle. I think nothing of it, muscle spasm or something. I keep watching TV. It's late night, it's dark, just the TV light and the random little things floating around. Then I feel a push on my thigh. Again, I think, what the fuck? For a second and just kind of look to see if something had fell off the coffee table. Or something, and nothing. Stupid idea even, but rational brain. Again, I sit watching TV then. Okay, imagine you're laying on a sofa, someone is hiding underneath, and you feel a hand creep up the sofa. You feel the weight of it move the sofa slightly under you. Then it fucking pushed me with 3 fingers. Absolutely scared the fucking shit out of me. It ran 3 fingers and felt them push along my side. That was a fucking hand. I jumped up. Adrenaline to fuck. First thought was that my neighbor, a good friend of mine, had decided to play a terrible practical joke and hide under the sofa. Nope. No one. I started saying, "Please, leave me alone. Please, please." It gets worse. After calming down, try to rationalize, I lay back down again. Next thing, a bright white column of light appears at my right. I close my eyes, open up, still there, fucking shit myself. It gets worse. I go for a piss, get into the toilet a bit weary, breath, nothing. Walk out into the corridor, look down it, and very, very loudly, 2 fucking hisses at me. I am now fucking terrified. Typing this now is making my hair stand up on my back of my neck. It never has before. Makes my head kind of feel weird, rush across my skin. It gets worse. As soon as that happened, I called my neighbor, but it's late. She doesn't answer, so I keep saying, calmly as I can, "Please, leave me alone. I'm going to clean up, and I'm leaving soon." Every time I open my eyes, the white column of light is to my right. I have long hair, and the column of light is behind it. It is not a visual distortion. Is there, in physical space? It gets worse. Another column appears to my left, and I start hearing cracking sound behind me. Then this weird brown line appears on the wall. Every time I try to look away, it follows my eye line, but it isn't exactly with my eyes. It's delayed randomly, but will not leave. It keeps following. I'm fucking scared to death by now, but I've kept and kind of accepted it. I'm just telling it to leave. About 6 a.m. it stops, and I leave. I call my dad and tell him I'm stressed and ask to stay there, not daring to tell him what happened. I stay there for a few days. No column of light, no hissing, all fine. I again try to rationalize. After a few days, I put it down to lack of sleep. So I take some boxes to start moving my stuff out, see one of the neighbors in the corridor, and we chat. She says I should come see her before I leave, cup of tea, etc. I go into my apartment, all good, but sorry to be crude, I really need to take a shit. As soon as I sit down, the two columns of light appear, one on either side of me. It's sending weird shivers down me now writing this. I try to ignore, then this fucking happens. I go into my bedroom, blocking it all out as soon as I walk in, and I kid you fucking not, I hear something in the corner in a strange hissing voice whisper my fucking name, and then a load of unintelligible rambling. That's it. I'm fucking out of there. This is midday. My neighbor's still in the corridor. I quickly get out and try to act calm. And I've only been really going back with friends helping me. I'm nearly fully moved out. Fuck that shit. This really happened, and I'm still moving stuff out. I fucking hate going back. Something doesn't want me there. Sometimes I think it was trying to drive me away because it could see that being there alone was taking its toll on me. Needed to be with my family. One of the best friends died in an apartment above. An old lady. She'd lived there for years before I got there, but sitting drinking tea in the gardens was amazing. She was the most switched on 80-something-year-old I've ever met. Witty, energetic, love you, Pam. My dead aunt made me and my dad breakfast. This is by legitimate_ad_9753. My aunt passed away in the mid-90s from a brain tumor. I was in 3rd grade, and this hit me particularly hard. Partially because she was awesome, and partially because it was the first adult who I was close to who died in my life. We traveled from my home in Maryland to Manitoba for the funeral. As a kid, my dad and I were always ones to keep waking up like we were still in our own time zone, no matter where we were. Throw in the fact that we were there for a fairly upsetting funeral, this meant we were up way earlier than anyone else in the house. My aunt and uncle's house was, as memory serves, a pretty amazing modern for the time house. The kitchen and dining room were lofted over a huge open living room. Once you made it all the way to that lofted area, there was a smaller family room with a TV. A more formal dining room, a galley kitchen, and a diner-style banquet with a fish tank behind it. It was a red house. As I made my way up the stairs to the loft, I could hear the TV and found my dad watching the very bad, very forgettable Boris and Natasha movie. This was the morning of the funeral and the day we would inter her ashes, so we weren't up for chatting too much. We watched the movie for a while, and then, as though everything was normal, my aunt cheerily popped out of the kitchen and asked what we wanted for breakfast. I'd like to be very clear, nothing initially felt wrong at all. We didn't freak out, not even a side-eye was exchanged. We just answered her, and she went back out of view and started making breakfast. I remember smelling bacon. I remember being on my knees in the banquet, looking at the fish, and then looking to my right and seeing her busily making breakfast for us in the kitchen. Eventually, I made my way back over to the couch, and around that time, more people started coming upstairs. Only then, when the next person came upstairs, did my dad and I look at each other in shock, as though a veil had suddenly been lifted. No bacon had been made, no mess in the kitchen, no nothing. My dad and I never had the chance after that to say anything about it, and it slowly became a memory that got filed away. Fast forward to college, where all of a sudden one night all the details of this come rushing back to me. It seemed a little suspect when I was home for Christmas after my parents and I were wrapping up a nice dinner. I asked my dad, "Weird question, Dad. Did we see Aunt So-and-so's ghost?" "Yes, and I don't want to talk about it." Based on my mom's look of shock and befuddled, "What?" It was pretty clear that he never said anything to her about it either. That was it for a while. Jump a few more years forward, he apparently did talk to Mom and one of their and our close family friend. Apparently this story was a huge relief to her and her daughter because, unbeknownst to us, a day or two before the funeral, her daughter had been at the mall and saw my aunt across the busy shopping crowd, smiling and waving to her, before she inexplicably vanished in the hubbub. We still didn't talk about it much. I think it upset and unnerved my dad for valid reasons, but I was happy to know that I hadn't made it up, as I thought it was odd, but a nice memory of her. explained thing flying off the counter. This is by French Toast Birds. So, in my old house, we had a kitchen bar where you could sit and eat breakfast. The dining room was next to the kitchen, so we could clearly see the bar. One night, we're all eating dinner as usual. I think I got up to get a drink, but I didn't stop or anything. I just calmly walked over. I am specifying this for the sake of the story. I got my drink and was heading back to the table when one of my trinkets on the bar, there was a mini statue of a German man that you could take apart and put incense into to make it look like he's smoking, literally jumped off the counter and came violently crashing to the floor. I didn't see it, but everyone else did, and they were staring at it. I picked it up and put it back in its place, and dinner went on as usual, but that was creepy. There was no way it could have jumped the way it did without someone physically touching it, and none of us were close enough to do that. Ghost scratching. This is by Muscle. Must-Elid Dreams. Ghost scratching. For a few nights now, my sister's heard these scratches like a cat trying to get in through her door, and assuming it's a cat, opens the door to find nothing. Last night I heard it in my room. My bed is right next to the door, so I can hear a lot of what happens outside. Anyway, last night, I was about to go to sleep when I heard this sound, like a cat scratching on the side of the door, but right next to my ear. It lasted for about 5 seconds, and a few seconds after it finished, I heard these pacing footsteps from the room next to mine for like 10 to 20 seconds. I understand that it is likely that my ghost is just a cat, but the scratching was right next to my ear, which was higher than the cats could reach, but the pacing footsteps could have been a cat. Handling ghost story from gifted grandmother. My Nana solved a triple murder when she was 9. In the middle of the night, my Nana's brother ran out of his room into his mother's room crying. She asked him what was wrong, and he told her, "They're in my room. They're all in my room." She told him it's okay and went over to my Nana's room. She was already awake at the time. She asked my Nana, "Did you feel anything, Lola?" My Nana said yes, but I didn't know they would go into his room. It's Lana and Rebecca and their mother. These were the people that lived across the street at the time. Their daddy hurt them and killed them and buried them out in the orchard. My grandma's mother told her to say some prayers and that it's okay and go to sleep. Not believing her, of course. She had known her daughter had gifts, but she had known this man and he was friendly with her. The next day, she told her brother. He worked with the man at the time. When he went to work, he talked with the man and asked him how his family was doing. The man said they're doing good and that they went to visit their cousin back east for a while. He said that's good and didn't brag. They also told the foreman at their job that he was worried about this guy's family. The foreman, in turn, notified the police. A patrolman came to his house to check in on him and ask about his family. That's when the man immediately started crying and admitted that he killed them and buried them out in the orchard. My Nana's family never saw the ghost again after he was caught. Can anyone else relate to this? This is by Basic 8584. When I was about 4 to 6, I saw a shadow. Of course, I didn't think anything of it, but I told my sister. By the way, I slept next to the attic door. For a long, random time, I saw my sister in the hallway, and me being stupid followed. Before anything bad happened, when we got to the kitchen downstairs, before my brother found me, and I saw a dark figure upset in the kitchen. What scared me was the knife on the counter. We later moved, but before we did, I would hear my sister's voice in the attic. I live far away now, so I'm just going to say the place I live is a place with scary activities, especially at night. I saw my mom as a shadow person. This is by X Carutos. Alright, so this happened when I was around 8 to 10, around that age. I can't remember, but I know I was young, so ever since we moved into our new house, I saw this shadow man standing in the corner of my room near my closet door. Right, he was taller than me, of course, and was skinny, but not like stick skinny. He was an average weight man, and I used to see him every night, but he never did anything. He just watched. So one day I chose to tell my mom, saying, "There's a man in my room at night," or "There's a ghost in the corner of my room." And she would say, "It's your imagination, stop playing." When I was being so serious, so on this night she said she would keep her door open for me. And my room was set up to where my bed is on the back wall, long way right, and if I was lying down with my door open, I could see into her room, if her door was open. So time came where it was night time, everyone went to bed, and I'm in my room looking at TV, and the man was there again, just watching me. And on this night, fear was running through my body because I was scared, so I look away from him and into my mom's room, and in her room I see a shadow figure crouched down looking at me. That sent shivers down my spine. I was so scared to move. I was like, it was like me and the figure were having a staring contest, and I stared at it until I fell asleep because I was a child. I couldn't stay up long, but I never told my mom about it until I was older and we had moved to a different house. Claudia and the Bad Luck Charm. This is by Mel 2008. For the longest time, I've always loved ghost stories and just fiction in general, and I always had to remind myself to not believe it. I wanted to, but I couldn't for the sake of my sanity, but that all changed with an interesting story. I can't remember how long it was, maybe a year now, when my friend told us about her Sylvian plushie that was pure evil. Wherever she went with it, boom, something bad happened. She tried everything, and even her highly religious grandmother had to get a priest, and I guess get the spirit out of there. But it didn't work, so she gave up and stuffed it in her closet. I wanted to believe my friend and her story, but I guess after telling myself so many times, "Nope, that's not real, Mel. Don't get all crazy now," I couldn't. I didn't think she was crazy or making stuff up. I just tried not to think of it, and that was that. But recently, she's been messing with it, trying to befriend it and talk without getting bad luck. And at first it didn't work out too well, but Claudia came around. Oh, that's the spirit's name, by the way, Claudia. Can't possess any living being, most likely just objects. Whether or not she can move things is up for debate. She's not evil, just mischievous. I'm not completely sure how my friend talks to Claudia, but she can. She gives her a question, she'll answer. Probably with the "your mom" joke, though. But what Claudia has said has been pretty crazy. She was 13 when she died, and how she died was a little sad. This next part is kind of dark, so this is your warning. And this line was redacted, so we can't even read it. The more things she said about Claudia, the more I believed that yes, Claudia was real. She had to be, right? My friend started getting unsure that she was going insane. I told her that if she was real, then we just found out what happens when you die. That we've possibly found a witness of the afterlife and made a scientific breakthrough, and if it wasn't, who cares? At the end of that conversation, we decided there was one way to find out. So my friend went on incognito, looked them up on the ancestry, narrowed it down to a single person that I probably shouldn't say the full name of. I'm trying to avoid saying any names for security reasons. And she actually found a French article talking about the same girl. Not only that, but there was a file with a crap ton of information. So far, pretty accurate to the things Claudia said before all this research. I'm not going to give that many details, but so far we know her full name, parents, the day she died, where she's from, her school, which was destroyed 4 years ago, friends, and yeah, she said it was all correct besides the fact that one of the friends was her cousin. All this is happening as we speak, so expect updates on the situation. It's a lot of stuff and it might take a while, but all we need is the cause of death to make or break this entire thing. So stay tuned, because this ain't over. Oh, and one more thing. I officially believe in ghosts. Memo 2008. Update on the situation. We found out a lot of things about our good friend Claudia, most of these being accurate. But the biggest breakthrough by far is the fact that she lied about her death. According to the same French article she died of, again warning of this part being dark and redacted. My friend first said that she might have been ashamed by what she did, so she lied. I argued that if that was the case, she could have said she was ran over, killed, stuff like that. But she said that if she said something like that, we would find out that she lied a lot sooner. We also agree that it is something Claudia would do. But now, what you've all been waiting for, what happened to Claudia after she died, and what happens when people die. Okay, so once Claudia passed away, she wandered around our neighborhood in Brazil, but when she went into her neighbor's house and saw a Sylvian plush, she wanted to see if she could yeet the Sylvian to prank her neighbors. But she got sucked into the plush and got stuck there for 7 years. Then she got sold on Amazon, got put in a box, got shipped to America, which according to her was like being shook over and over, and was given to my friend, and here we are. And well, that's it. This has been quite the journey, and all this has been cool, but I don't know. The ending wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be, but whatever. If any of you have a question for Claudia, just ask her, and I'll get you Claudia's response. Oh, you will you? Well, thank you. Uncomfortable ghost fight in my house. This is by user Corruption Dog. Okay, so a bit of the backstory. My wife, we'll call them R, has had this thing following her around since leaving offerings on a severely degraded gravestone as a child. Like, this marker was so degraded that there was no trace of a name or anything. This thing has physically attacked every woman to share a room with her until me. Even her mom and I saw the scars. It also psychologically attacked her sister and her ex-husband, and from what I know, may have ultimately caused their divorce. This thing goes dormant for long periods of time, but when it's active, it causes my wife to enter the back rooms for tea. No, she doesn't drink. It's also one of those, the more you think about it, the more active it becomes kind of things for R. So my other friend, we'll call them N, has a spirit that has been around since their childhood and has been a friend of them. Nothing violent or bad about this little one, just a child who has been a safe space for them. On to the story. I have always been spiritually adept in terms of feeling presences, so when we got together for game night and something felt just overwhelmingly wrong, I couldn't ignore it. I knew our thing had been active that day, and when I mentioned that I felt something and said they'd brought their spirit. Oh no, thing doesn't play well with others. No one could focus on the game because the negative energy was so oppressive. It had been bad all day, but when N and their spirit arrived, it got worse. The rest of our friends who arrived a bit later immediately commented on the off feeling. You know, in the horror movie, when the music goes so soft that the tension remains constant, like a rubber band pulled so tight you're just waiting for it to snap back on you? That's how it felt. Just the oppressive anticipation of something bad. I was feeling overwhelming fear from our tiny laundry room and complete malice and anger from above R. I felt as the two were fighting and N's spirit was trying to hide. It was scared. Whatever thing is could hurt it. They fought and fought until N had their spirit go outside. Then Thing found another target, ours and my 1.5-year-old daughter. She started screaming. She was so terrified she was shaking. Everyone in the room was trying to comfort her, but she wouldn't stop shaking. We tried putting her to bed, but as soon as we got to the door of her room, she would scream as loud as she could and grab at the doorframe to keep from going in. Thing was in her room. I passed her daughter off to the group and started a cleansing on the room. I had to protect our daughter. This thing wanted to hurt her. I don't know why, but it did. It took nearly an hour because I kept having to pick people out of the room, but I cleansed it and our daughter slept peacefully that night. We haven't had a run-in with Thing since, but I put protective jars around the house. I just hope it's gone for good. Nan came to say goodbye. This is by L. Strudel. The story belongs to my father. He has told me about it many times as he can't explain it. When my father was 18 years old, he went on holiday to Greece with his girlfriend. This would have been in the mid-80s. In the night, he woke up from a feeling of someone sitting on the end of his bed. He assumed it was his girlfriend and didn't really give it much thought. Back to sleep he goes. In the morning, his girlfriend wakes up and says, "I had a really weird dream that your man was sitting on the end of the bed last night." So my dad tells her of him feeling like someone was sitting on the end of his bed. A bit freaked out by it, he decides to use the phone in the hotel reception to make a call back to England to chat to his nan. He calls her home phone and his brother answers. This isn't unusual as his brother lives with the nan anyway. So my dad explains to him about the dream and just said he was calling to check all was okay. His brother bursts into tears and tells my dad that Nan had died in the night. And he wasn't going to tell my dad until he had returned from holiday. Although sad, my dad said he felt comforted that his Nan came to say goodbye. I think I left myself open. This is by John Raimundo. John Raimundo! I think I left myself open. Not long after I started my podcast about paranormal, supernatural things, strange things have been happening around my apartment. I once heard that the more you talk about these kinds of things, the more you leave yourself open to them. After all this, I wholeheartedly believe that. My fiancé and our 3-month-old daughter were out shopping, so it was just myself and my dog at home. I was in my office studio game room playing games with some friends when I heard a door close. Thinking it was just my fiancé coming home because she forgot her purse or something. I called out, "Hey honey, what'd you forget?" No response. I called out again, "Babe." Still nothing. So thinking she just didn't hear me for some reason, I got up and walked into her room. No one was there. Confused, I walked into the big room and checked in there to see if they maybe stopped for a diaper change. Still no one there. I decided to text her to see if they came by quicker than it took me to get up and look around. She says they're still out and have not come back home since they left a few hours ago. Now, we do live in an apartment connected to other people, so there is a possibility that it could have been the door on their side that I heard close, but to me it sounded way too loud to be a noise I heard through the whole thing, through the walls that connected of the apartments. After a while, I had gone back to playing video games and kind of forgot about the whole thing. But not long after that, I heard a noise that sounded like someone was rubbing their hand along the walls in the hallway. Again, this could have been our neighbors, but it still sounded too close to be on the other side of the wall. This time I just decided to ignore it and went back to the game. A few hours later, my fiancé and daughter finally came home, and after a few hours of getting the baby to bed, my fiancé wanted to play with us. While we're out playing, my dog runs into our room, which is where my fiancé is, and turns down the hallway and starts growling with his hair standing straight up. my dog, this is not like him at all. He's the kind of lovable, submissive dog that, if someone broke in, he would probably bring them a toy and roll over for some belly rubs. All of this was sufficient enough to make me think that none of these events were coincidences. These events happened all in the same day shortly after recording the second episode of my podcast. A few days after that, my baby was asleep in the living room in her swing while I was in the office working. I went out to check on her when I heard something fall behind me from the kitchen. I turned around and saw her pacifier on the kitchen counter. I had just done the dishes and all that was an hour before, and I know for a fact I placed it on the top of the drying rack where it could not have fallen. The drying rack we use for the baby stuff is kind of all different sized pegs standing straight up, and her pacifier was the kind that is open on the bottom of the nipple part, so the peg is going straight through the top of the pacifier. Like I said, there's no way it could have fallen on its own. I placed it back on the drying rack and shook it and blew on it as hard as I could, but I couldn't manage to get it to fall again unless I were actually to flick it off. Around 5 a.m. the next morning, I'm sitting in the living room feeding her when she stops drinking her milk, looks in the corner of the living room towards the kitchen, and her eyes grow wide just before she lets out a scream that I have never heard from her before. Scared, thinking I might have accidentally pinched her while I was moving her, I checked everywhere for a mark, but there was nothing. I tried as best I could to calm her, to no avail. That was until we went back into our room where my fiancé has her crystals, which were supposed to protect you from negative energies and spirits, right by the door. The second we went back into the room, the baby stopped crying as if nothing had happened. This has continued with random knocks being heard, disembodied voices, and my dog acting very much unlike himself, growling and barking at nothing. That leads us to last night. While recording the podcast, my fiancé and I kept hearing knocks on the door to the office, where we record, and she kept telling me that she hears something in her headphones. Nothing, that it was just feedback from one of us talking, and I wrote it off. The knocking did make me feel a bit uneasy, though. For at least an hour, the knocking and feedback kept happening until we finished recording. Now, just for context, my baby, of course, wouldn't be able to get herself out of her crib, walk down the hallway, knock on the door, go back down the hallway, and get herself back in the crib before I got it to check the door for the first few times. While we record, we usually keep the dog in the room with us, and this night was no different. He was laying in his bed on the opposite side of the room from the door. Today I sat down to edit the episode when halfway through my fiance's mic goes crazy. All it picked up was static and some voices that didn't sound like either of ours. Just as this happened, the baby was in her swing when I heard the music start glitching, and when I went to look at the display to change the speed of the swing and volume and all, that was flickering, and it seemed like someone was holding the swing down. The gears were grinding, and I tried to turn it off, but that didn't work, so I had to fully unplug it to get it to stop. I immediately took her out of the swing, packed her up, grabbed my dog, and went on a walk. I just got back home, and now I'm sitting here, typing this to you all. As soon as I got back inside, the air felt heavy, and I have this odd feeling of being watched. I hope this is the worst of it, and things don't get too out of hand. Maybe I'll write you guys an update if anything changes. Sorry for rambling, I'm just scared. I have proof this is true. This is by Was Read Now. My father was in the nursing home suffering from Alzheimer's. It had been a couple of years since he could communicate or understand what anyone said to him. At least there were no signs that he understood anyone any longer. I'd always been extremely close to my father, and he didn't even know who I was. I'm sure of this because 3 years before this happened, he would ask me where his girl was. I would tell him that I was right here. He would tell me time and again that I was not his daughter. I would visit him almost every day in the nursing home, which was very close to my home. On my father's birthday, my family who live in Louisiana got the terrible news that my only brother... Oh no. Who lived in Alabama was found dead in his home. He was 56 years old and died unexpectedly from natural causes. My mother also lived in Louisiana, but lived about 100 miles from me. I went to be with my mother as she had lost a child. I stayed 4 days and then needed to get back home to check on my father. When I went in to see my father, he was tracing something on the ceiling with his eyes. It was as if whatever it was flying all around the ceiling. I had no intention of telling my father about my brother's death because he would not understand or even know whom I was speaking about. I tried several times to get my dad to look at me instead of tracing the ceiling, but he just refused. I finally said, "Daddy, do you see something up there?" Daddy, who had not understood a word said to him in 2 years, kind of gave an affirmative grunt. I thought that perhaps I was making stuff up in my head with the grief and everything. So Daddy kept tracking, and I waited about 20 minutes, and I said, "Daddy, do you see brother's name up there?" My dad lowered his head and looked at me. He understood what I said and said, "Yes," without a doubt. So he understood and communicated back to me, something that he had not been able to do in a long time. I told my dad then that if he wanted to go with my brother, that he could go. I assured him that I would be okay. He didn't have to worry about me. I say I have proof of this because I was so shook up about it that I made a post on Facebook page that night telling the story, just like I'm telling you. I did not post again on Facebook for 2 days, and that was to announce that my father died. I have a very strong faith in God, and I know that He allowed my brother to come and get my dad. As hard as it was to lose both so close together, I had peace in knowing that neither one had to experience the other dying and that they are together. Followed by a ghost. This is by Major-Air 4089. When I was 11 years old, I went for a walk in the cemetery by my house. When I got to the end of the walkway, a black heart-shaped tombstone caught my eye. There was a picture of a middle-aged woman with curly blonde hair smiling. Then I recalled being told about a story of this woman passing away in a car accident. Anyways, later that night I had slept in my sister's room with her. Her bed was against the wall, so she slept closest to the wall, and I saw a black figure with curly hair. I was terrified, but I was even more terrified when the figure started to walk around the bed. I hid my head under the blanket for a while before looking to see what happened to the figure. Thank goodness it wasn't anywhere to be seen. I think something attached to me. This is by The Fake is Fake 420. When I was 9, I had my first ghost encounter. I was in a new house, I was fully energized, and I looked in the mirror down the hallway and saw a tall black shadow standing right behind me. After that, it all went downhill. My dog started randomly looking at things and growling. Nothing there. And random things will fall at night. My vent was fully closed and screwed in, and in the middle of the night, it slammed open. My second encounter was in the same house, but in my room. I walked into my room and looked into the sliding glass mirror I had and saw the same shadow figure behind me. None of my family believed me because I was young. Weird stuff kept happening, things being moved and then put back, etc. And I'm now older and in a new apartment and am starting to see stuff again. The other night I was laying in bed with all my lights off trying to sleep and I saw a 8 feet tall shadow figure standing in the corner. I could have been tired and was hallucinating, but that felt very real. And about 5 seconds before I saw the shadow figures, I heard someone whisper in my ear, "Hey." It sounded exactly like my dad. A few days later, I asked my dad if he's ever seen stuff in any of the houses before, and he said yes. And he's seen shadow figures in all the houses we've lived in, and the other day he saw a shadow figure peek out of the kitchen and then run straight into it and disappear. And I occasionally see things when I go into the kitchen. The time my mum gave me creepy dolls. This is by altruistic_set_6857. My mum once bought me a collector's edition of Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy. They came in a cardboard box that opened up to reveal them side by side, and she was so happy to present it to me, and I felt so bad, but I instantly hated it, and they scared me. I was around 9 at the time. I never took them out of the box or played with them, and I kept them in my closet. Unfortunately for me, my closet was at the end of my bed, so every night I stayed up staring at the closet door in fear that something was going to come out of there and get me. It got so bad that I was so scared that I had to give them back to my mom and tell her I didn't like them, which made me feel terrible, but I just couldn't handle them and the terrible feeling I got from them. Fast forwards to about a month ago when I find out that the original Annabelle doll was a Raggedy Ann. Did anyone else's parents buy them something seemingly harmless that terrified them in the end? The McDonaldtown Murders goes John Macon and My Experience. This is by DZ TV. Let me start off by saying I don't believe in the paranormal. I'm a skeptical person, and I believe there's a scientific reason for any ghostly interaction, such as this story I'll be telling. That being said, there are coincidences here that have been quite difficult for me to debunk, and so I'd like to share it with the internet. I live in Sydney, Australia, and when I turned 21, I decided to move out of my family home. A co-worker of mine was also relocating and offered his room to me. It was in a shared house in Redfern, an inner-city suburb around notable areas such as Arkinville and Newton, in a capitolated, for lack of a better term, suburb known as McDonaldtown. My colleague helped me with the move. My new home was this grungy old Victorian-style house filled to the brim with dark paintings one of my housemates created. There were copious amounts of spiders and bugs crawling around. Sometimes you would hear rats scratching at the walls, and most notably, the air was so thick with smoke that it was hard to breathe. My housemates were nice, and it was super cheap living until they raised the rent a month later. Regardless, during the move, my friend remarked that I should beware of the ghost. Assuming he was joking, I laughed it off and poked fun at him about it, and he explained, "The ghost used to live here, in the room you're taking me back in the late 1800s, early 1900s or something. He won't harm you, but he likes to watch." Being a little creeped out at the thought, I laughed again, asked why this so-called ghost would just watch. According to my colleague, he was a baby killer and babies are still stuck in the plumbing, and that he's admiring his work. I dropped the topic, assuming he was just fucking around with me, and never thought about it again, until 3 months later. For context, as this was my first time living with people I'd never met, I was quite paranoid. It took me a long while to warm up to the housemates, and as a result, I absolutely always locked my door. It was a non-negotiable whether I was in the room or not. The door and window were always closed and locked. So when I woke up one night, noticing that my door was slightly ajar, I panicked. Remember, I was quite dazed and confused, but when I noticed the door was open, I felt a horrible sensation. I began to think I was being robbed and couldn't move out of fear. I couldn't see much of anything for a while, and I didn't feel any other presence in my room, so I started to think if I'd really forgotten to close the door. I definitely remember shutting and locking it. About 5 minutes passed, and I noticed a silhouette and the door opening. It was dark, but my eyes had finally adjusted and I could see a face. I called out to it fairly loudly, asking, "Tim? Is that you?" Tim being the housemaid in the room closest to me, no response. It felt like another 5 to 10 minutes passed, and the whole while I was stuck in a trance-like state, what I've since discovered to be sleep paralysis. This entire time I was staring at the silhouette and it hadn't budged. I could finally make out the person's face. It was an old man. He had a thick mustache and was just staring back at me, softly smiling. It was terrifying, but the next thing I know, I'm awake with light shining into my eyes. It's about 10 a.m. and I'd slept in. I supposed to myself that was just a horrible dream and that my brain was playing tricks on me. I rolled onto my side and immediately I felt the same horrible sensation as if my stomach had dropped. Looking towards the door, it was open, the exact same way as in this dream, I convinced myself of. For years, that was the end of the story, but in December 2020, I decided to tell this on my live stream. I was explaining that it was likely just a dream and there's always a reason. Upon hearing my story, one of my viewers asked, "You're not talking about the McDonaldtown murderers, are you?" I inquired what that was, and she explained that it was something to do with an old couple who used to kill babies, shoving the carcasses in the plumbing. She took a minute and sent me this article where a picture of an elderly couple was displayed. The man's face is exactly as I remember it. To summarize, the article explains the story of Sarah and John Macon, who would baby farm, the act of raising children for unwed mothers, raising them for a fee. They'd kill the babies for an incredible profit, hide the bodies in places like pipes of rental properties, and then move through various suburbs in the area I was living. This was my retelling of this story live and my reaction to the article. Note the first 9 minutes and 50 seconds of the video is me talking with a friend on the phone about an at the time recent paranormal experience he had, which brought up this story on stream, so no particularly relevance to this post. Recently, I was reminded of this ghostly interaction, so tell me, what do you think of this? I'd love to know your thoughts. I don't know if this counts, but all my life I've been able to hear and sense things. This is by software Unlikely 2151. So let me carry on. This was 6 years ago. I was playing a game on my phone at the time. I was home alone and I could swear I heard my name being called from the dark, lit room. End off that true story. This one was, I think, like 7 years ago. I was playing on my PC when all of a sudden I felt scared and my mouse went flying. 3 years ago, I could hear someone singing when I was in my friend's home. I forgot when, but at the corner of my eye I saw something, but it vanished. 9 years ago, I saw my dead cat run inside my chair and vanished. I heard her meow and everything. I've got more that's happened to message on post if you want to hear. Tried to post on Reddit Ghost. Didn't work. I don't think, but I don't want to retype it. Please read here. First time posting because this is the first time I felt the need to post here. This is by single-silver-6722. Yesterday, July 1st, 2022, my mother went to work about 6 a.m. and came home around 5:30 to 6 to an unlocked house. She never ever leaves her home unlocked because she's very paranoid, as well as has valuables inside her home. Anyways, her house was unlocked when she came home, so she called me and asked if I had been there because in the past I had left the front door unlocked. I had been working all day yesterday and would have been unable to make it over, and that's what I told her, so that deepened her worry, and she continued to look around to see if anything was misplaced or changed. And the only thing that was different from when she had left that morning was a picture of me. that she did not recognize as being in her collection of images, but she did recognize taking it on a disposable camera. The reason I am posting this on Reddit Ghost is because in the context, the picture of me is from November 3rd, 2006. I was 3 years old at this time. The costume I was wearing was hand-selected by my grandmother, who very recently passed away just a couple months ago. Please, someone who knows more than me, respond. Have a great day, everyone, and I will reply with more information if asked. Oh, that's a cute little clown costume. Oh, that's so cute. All right. Oops. Alright, let's see. Let's see what the next one is. Disappearing Stranger by Amy Uzumito. On Halloween 2 years ago, I had walked down to my mom's work in spooky makeup at around 1 to 3 p.m. There's a massive hill on the main road in my town that goes to stores and most jobs and stuff, including my mom's job, so when I went home, I had to climb up this hill. When I did, I felt unsettled and alert. I kept looking behind me, but no one was there. I then heard footsteps when I nearly reached the top, and I checked again, but I was still alone. At the top of the hill is a crosswalk, which I had waited at. I was exhausted and drank some water, then a man came up beside me, unfazed by the heavily inclined hill, which nearly everyone in town gets tired from. He waited for the light with me, and I eventually looked over at him. He was wearing a black hoodie, with his hood covering his face, and black shoes and pants. I felt uncomfortable looking at him, so I kept my eyes forward, but felt like he was staring at me. When the light changed, he sped in front of me. There's a middle school a few meters away from the sidewalk with fencing. I watched as he climbed up the rocks at the side of the fence and phased through. I thought that maybe there was a gap I never saw before, and I went to the school at the time and would hang out at that spot of the school, so it seemed bizarre to me that I wouldn't see a gap in the fence, but when I checked, there wasn't any gap there. Note that these were typical school metal fences, so I could see him walk across the field. I continued on the sidewalk and glanced at him once in a while, and suddenly, he disappeared. I panicked but tried to make it seem normal. He could have walked really fast. Maybe he turned a corner of the building. A few minutes later, I finally began to stop thinking about it. I kept my head down to calm myself, and when I looked up, the man was walking in front of me again. I became hysterical and called my brother to tell him what happened as I watched the man jaywalk without looking for cars and continued down the road. After I hung up the phone, I ran home in tears and soon told my dad what had happened. He thought I was playing a Halloween prank. After that, I never saw the man again. I've never felt that way before, and I hope to never experience that fear again. Another thing is that I don't get scared easily, but for some reason this occupies my thoughts, and I dread the day I might see him again. The man standing at the end of my bed. This is by altruistic_set_6857. When I was about 15 to 17 years old, I was in bed on my phone listening to music when I heard footsteps coming down the hallway. I thought it was my dad and freaked out because I was meant to be asleep, not on my phone. I tried to turn off the music and hide my phone under the covers, but I couldn't turn it off in time, and I heard my dad's footsteps come up to the end of my bed and stop. I pretended to be asleep, and then when my dad didn't say anything, I turned on my phone light and peeked over the covers to see if he was gone. Instead of seeing my dad at the end of the bed, I see this tall man with dark brown hair and a gray blanket wrapped around his shoulders. He looks like he's been caught in the rain. He's drenched and staring directly above my bed, looking distant. I try to call out to my dad, but I'm laying at a weird angle and I'm kinda whisper screaming at this point, and he reached his hand out and grabbed the top of my foot over the covers. I can move my toes, but I can't pull my foot away, and I'm hyperventilating now. At this point, I'm shaking. I'm so scared. I lay back, take a deep breath, and I peek back over the covers, and he's gone. I turn on my light under my bed and call my friend, super freaked out. They say maybe I had my first experience of sleep paralysis and suggest I try to sleep and take my mind off of it. I decided to sleep with my bed light on. I wake up and it's off. I asked my dad if he turned it off or the power tripped, but he said no. But the only way to turn off the light is to reach underneath the bed head to flick it off or turn it off at the wall, and I don't remember turning it off. I then realized that where the guy was looking was where I had placed a dream catcher. Weird coincidence, but I had gotten it the day before, and it wasn't straight and hadn't felt right about it not being straight, so I fixed it, and I've never seen him again. I also started sleeping on the other side of my bed because screw that. Initially, I thought that maybe I had sleep paralysis. I'd never had it before, though. But I could move my body and my toes. I wasn't pinned. I thought maybe it was a dream, but I could feel his hand on my foot. My music had played continuously. Didn't change at all from me taking a deep breath and him being gone. This wasn't my first scary experience, and it wasn't my last. It wasn't. My sister's night terrors scared me half to death. Not a ghost story, but a genuinely poor time night terror that scared the life out of me. I lived with my dad and my sister lived with my mom while we were growing up, but I'd stay with my mom most weekends. My sister and I would share a bunk bed, and I was on top. Late one night I was reading a vampire novel with a torch, and I hear my sister start to whimper. She sounded scared and terrified. I asked her if she was okay, and she just continues to whimper before saying, "There's a man at the end of the bed with red eyes, and he's staring at us." I had my torch on my book, and I was so scared to look up. I didn't want to look up. I was frozen in fear, and she kept saying that he was looking at us. Finally, I ballsed up and shone my torch at the end of the bed, half relieved that there was no one there. I called down my sister to tell her no one is there and that it's okay, and I'm met by silence because she's fallen asleep again. I told her what happened in the morning, and she didn't remember any of it. Someone was walking in my room. Zach the Fair, 86. So, the other day I was helping move some furniture for the neighbor. I'll call Nancy. My next door neighbors had abandoned their place and the furniture had been moved out onto the veranda. Nancy wanted some of it, so I helped her move it to her apartment. In thanks, I got to keep a few things for myself, including a mirror. I joked with Nancy that the mirror was probably cursed or something, so I took it home, cleaned it, and set it in the living room because I'm already a bit uneasy about bringing old mirrors into my home. All was fine, so I put it in the bedroom. The night I put it in my bedroom, I was trying to sleep when I kept hearing the fan making weird noises. It had that sound that fans kind of make when something moves in front of it, making the sound shift around. It happened often enough that it woke me out of the sleep. And as I was coming out of it, I felt someone scooting past my hammock. I sleep in a hammock due to chronic pain. I even feel them pause right at my head for a moment. I thought it was my husband at first, but when I opened my eyes, he was on his own bed, dead asleep. Every time I started to fall back asleep, I'd feel someone moving around and hear the fan doing weird things. It got to the point that I woke up and grumpily crawled into my husband's bed. The next day, I told my husband about it. I had already thought to myself maybe it had something to do with the mirror, but I was still skeptical. But then my husband says, "You don't think it was the mirror, do you?" As of late, he's been having trouble sleeping as well. I'm still not sure if it's the mirror, but I do believe it's possible. I also believe it could be that we are going through some worrisome times right now and are stressing ourselves into restless sleep, but it was still very strange. I consider myself a skeptical believer. I do believe in the paranormal, as I have had more than enough odd things happen in my life that I still cannot explain, but I also believe that many things can be explained, so I'm still a little iffy on whether or not it's the mirror. Either way, I'm about to cleanse it so I can use it for my altar and hope nothing else walks through my room. I also need to add that this isn't the first time something has walked through at night, even before getting the mirror. I have words and things up, but it seems sometimes things still slip through. Little fairies or ghost children. This is by Applebee34. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I was laying in my bed at night. My sisters were asleep in the next room and my parents were in another room, all of us close in proximity. I really don't know what time of night it was, maybe it was even almost nearly morning. But I was laying with my head straight on the pillow, back of the head on pillow, face staring up at the ceiling. Just then I heard a tiny voice in my right ear that sounded like a fairy elf child make the noise that all kids make when we were trying to make a fart noise. Then directly after that I heard, "Psst, that was him," really loud right above me, and then following that was some giggling. I was so scared that I pulled covers up over my chin, did not even want to look to my right for fear that someone was standing there. I started to call out for my mom, but she never came. I think they were fast asleep. I just remember thinking, if I close my eyes, it will go away. Nothing happened after that, and honestly, I remember telling my sisters, who did believe me, because they have their own ghost stories, but this was about the only thing I ever really experienced as a kid. My sisters were the ones that would see and hear things most of the time. Not sure why I could not. Any thoughts on that? But yes, this is my story. I don't tell a lot of people because it's such a strange story that happened in a span of 5 seconds, and since then, I never heard anything or seen anything again. If anyone has a similar story, I would love to hear it. Maybe I won't feel alone on the subject. LOL, thanks for sticking around if you made it this far. In the Eyes. This is by Puzzled Perception 420. So when I was younger, I used to live in a trailer, so I don't know how old it is. To set the setting, I had a long bed, and at the end of the bed, there was a dresser with enough room to put my legs in between the bed and the dresser. The door to my room was also connected to the living room. I like to draw, so I would sit at the end of the bed and draw on the dresser. I remember that on the day this event took place, I was little and wanted to stay home all day, but my dad had wanted to go to Walmart. I was kind of mean about it, but ended up going with him. I believe almost 20 minutes later, when me and my dad were shopping, my mom called really panicked and asked my dad if I was with him, and then asked to talk to me. I don't remember what she told me over the phone, but I remember I was worried because it sounded like she had been crying. When I got home, she told me that she was vacuuming and had gone into my room, and she looked over to the end of the bed where I usually would be, and that she saw something that looked exactly like me sitting and staring forward at the wall. She said that after a couple of seconds, the thing turned to look at her straight in the eyes and slowly started to grin. She got scared and ran to the living room, where she called my brother crying. He ran from his room to the living room. From what he told me, she was crying a lot and was hugging him really hard. After I was told what happened, I was kind of freaked out, but did not think much about it. Later the same day, I wanted to draw, but my pencil had fallen through the space and onto the floor. I climbed under my bed to look for it, and I found 2 little Bibles hidden under there, although I always leave them in a different dresser since I'm not that religious, but never like to throw Bibles away out of respect for my mom, who is. We currently do not live there anymore, but I never forgot about this event since I don't know what could have done that. I do not know that my mom was scared because from where she is, they say if that happens, something bad is going to happen to the person. After that, we still experience little stuff in that home and on our current home, but we haven't experienced anything like that ever again. But I do remember that if we ever left to go somewhere or played outside, I would always look at my window expecting to see something looking at me. It was like an instinct at that point. England, midnight, walk through churchyard. Son of a Remington. This is my second story here. Another weird one, true as was the first, though a bit easier to be skeptical, even though more people were present. First story, I was alone. Look it up if you like. Halloween in Northern England starts at a young age. First, you dress up as a kid. You go out at night with your parents or older siblings around the 31st of October, knock on doors, trick-or-treat, and the neighbors you delightfully disturb with your homemade black bin-bagged witch costumes or cheap masks of fake blood hand out chocolate and sweets. You're home, have a sugar, comatose, and feel sick by 9 p.m. In your early teens, you continue the tradition, but now you're in a small group, and trick-or-treat ends in either a few pence or, if lucky, pounds dropped into your hand. You might egg a few windows, sorry to anyone that got this, or will get it one day. Mischievous night tends to be more fun. The dark nights have truly come in, and Halloween leads us darkly into bonfire night. 5th of November, remember, pie and peas and toffee apples around a gigantic fire burning Argyle Fox. People huddled together in their big warm coats. Fireworks and sparklers light the night. When you hit 18, Halloween takes a turn. Now you are out into the dark of the night, accompanied by alcohol, seeking the bright lights, and so are the demons. The devilish. Everyone you know is now horny and have just the excuse to wear them sharp upon their head. The men about town become jokers and Jasons, the sick and sadistic. Your female friends have all found their dark, sexy sides with fangs and blood, tight leather, and shrugs of not giving a fuck. No one gives a fuck. Pandemonium, the capital city of hell, for one night. Then we get a bit older, and just grow out of it. But it's still there, ingrained into you from a young age. The dark nights, dead leaves, fireworks that popped in the night. So we decided this Halloween we wouldn't go into town. We would roll a couple of joints, grab some beers, and walk around the church's graveyards in Black Lane. A church out of the way. The decision was to park up at exactly 12 midnight, light up, and just have a stroll. Torches, flasks, warm clothes, and forget town and the madness we were missing, and just scare each other. We get to the small gravel car park surrounded by fields and old trees. No one's there. No other cars, it's quiet. We're about half a mile from any house, and if anyone were to be there, they were idiots. Us. We lock the car and start towards the church, 5 of us, a couple of torches, a couple of joints. St. Peter's Church, Black Lane, Barnsley, if you're interested. Old, tall, cold, damp, misty night. We walk the graveyard messing around, and as expected, nothing. Just us, trying to scare each other. After an hour, it started to rain, so we head back to the car. This is when it happened. We all get into the car, everything is fine, the light goes out. After we sit there a moment, belting up and chatting, my brother is in the front passenger, I'm in the back. I hear him, "Who the fuck is that?" He leans away from the door, I look over, and there's a dark hooded figure a meter away from the window in the bushes. Everyone starts to panic. My friend that was driving absolutely shit himself at this moment and rushed to start the car. I tried to get a good look. I just saw a dark figure in a hood just standing beside the car. Scared everyone. We still talk about it now and again. I wanted to stay, to go back, to know who or what it was. The fact my mate accelerated away kind of pissed me off. I tried to stop him, tried to make him go back. Now I'll never know. Was it a dog walker in the rain watching us? The church groundskeeper? The weather was terrible, raining, dark, and muddy. I don't know, but years later I realized when I was younger I'd seen a strange but true episode about a bypass being made close by which had similar reports, a hooded monk, professional reports from police and security guards. Here's the link on YouTube. Believe what you will, it made our hearts skip a beat for a moment, but like every Halloween, we enjoyed it. I love Halloween. It is indeed my favorite holiday. What about you? Do you like Halloween? Well, unfortunately, that is it for this evening. Thank you so much once again for hanging out with me tonight. It was my pleasure hanging out and entertaining you. Thank you to all my friends out there, wherever you may be listening, Beyond The Omniverse tonight. I had a wonderful time, and I can't wait to do it again sometime soon. Don't forget, we're all in this together. Together we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. Please, if you have the means, ability, or initiative, if you believe in what I am doing here, or just enjoy hanging out with me on the airwaves, sling or fling some green my way, and it would really help me keep the mothership afloat. Places you can donate are by mail, P.O. Box 663, Bayfield, Colorado 81122, Cash App, $ TessaTNT, PayPal at TessaTNT, or Venmo at Tessa-Thomas-Peterson. Don't forget, you can also donate to my friend's GoFundMe, who had to have brain surgery because he had a moped accident in Thailand, but you can donate for him, Mr. Billy Sada. His recovery fund is gofund.me/83857C8cc. And yeah, we're at 40%, trying to get more. The more the merrier. Love and light, 99. Take care of my names. I'll see you back here. Same crazy time, same crazy place.